Pulsing out from the transmitter tower into the tubes and coils behind your radio dial. It's like a welcome knock on the door and the sound of the familiar voice of an old friend.
Audio.
Synchronicity.
Life. You really mean that? Yes.
Monsters exist.
Yes. Yes, always.
I didn't ask for this! America's favorite breakfast-themed superhero, Waffle Man.
Your friend. This is a lot of shit, you know.
Didn't fire your contract.
Such pests.
And then now, roll the camera.
Now, what is it you want? In your depths of your ignorance, what is it you want?
You are now synchronized.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Andres Perez, a.k.a. Kaiju Noir, here with another edition, the 2025 edition of Audio Synchronicity, a show that I have been doing for quite some times, on and off again, until in recent years when we decided to make it an annual thing. And the person that I have done this with, the person I've done this dog and pony show for God knows how long now, is my trusty sidekick, my wonderful co-pilot, my partner in crime, the one and only Brayton, the Crouton Connor.
Hello, friends and enemies. Another big trip around this big ball of gas we call the sun. And here we are yet again, a year older, a year wiser, a little more gray in the temples. But
Oh,
we're
yeah,
here.
absolutely.
We're
I'm
alive.
definitely feeling it.
Yeah.
I look at myself in the mirror. I start seeing more. At first, it used to be like sporadic, like, so like salt and pepper type of gray hairs. Now I'm starting to see them all start to formulate around the temples. I'm like, oh, God,
Well, no,
here we
it's
go.
good. It makes you look distinguished.
That is true. It worked on my dad. I saw it firsthand with my dad before he went completely gray. And he
Men
did
of
look
the
good.
Latino persuasion, it is
Absolutely, for sure.
You know how to. With us, it just looks like we're. I mean, I don't never dye the hair. Like when you dye the hair, you're basically surrendering to, your midlife crisis. You never want to go that far.
Surrendering to your what do you call it? Your oh shoot, what is that word? Your insecurities. That's the word I'm looking for.
Exactly right. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened to Steven Seagal there. Dude's
Oh,
in his 70s now and still has jet black hair.
Right, with a chocolate donut goatee, famously.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. We've got Kerwell in the chat here. We got JF, who is quoting or the lyrics to "Simple and Clean" from Kingdom Hearts. We have Sean Barry. This feels like a visit from an old friend you haven't seen in forever.
Right.
I do certainly feel that way, Sean. Absolutely.
You see us though, like at the high school reunion, and we're like hooked on all kinds of drugs and just sort of like.
You remember the music video to for the longest time by Billy Joel, and it's just you see an old Billy Joel. He's just like this kind of like sad looking husk of a man all alone.
Oh my God! I hope he's not listening. Billy Joel, you bastard! You sad husk of a man.
No, that's the point of the music video. He's there all alone.
That's
in the aftermath of this high school reunion.
It's like his Johnny Cash Hurt music video, where it's the saddest, like you see him decrepit. And it's just unbearable. But no, that's that very apt comparison there, though, Sean. But we're crying on each other's shoulders, telling each other how much we miss, and we're gonna get back together one of these days.
Absolutely, for sure. One of these days, we're gonna make it happen.
That's right.
Let's see. A year older. Curse you, pesky bald spots, gray hairs, and endless wrinkles.
Oh boy.
I mean, that's the thing. It's like I've noticed, as you grow, I forgot how old you are, but I have someone
I'm
who's
26.
26. Okay, so you still got a good chunk the second half of your 20s, but
The whole life's ahead of me.
You're barely starting, Brayton.
You got your life ahead of you, kid. It'll happen to you.
We got Azriel here. Click the link from the Indie Game Discord. Thank you very much for joining us. This is just simply a live stream that we like to do once in a long while, just to shoot the shit, catch up, talk about what projects we've been working on. I got some big announcements for you guys if you love kaiju and mecha and superheroes.
Yeah,
that I'm working on.
this is not the vanity live stream where we just talk about our wrinkles and our eye bags the entire time. So don't worry.
Right. This is just the existential portion of the show.
The dread portion, yeah.
Let's see. We got Big O here. Let's see. Mosh Pit in the Audio Synchronicity live chat. I mean, hey,
Oh no!
go for it.
No, it's like the Rolling Stones concert where the Hell's Angels were there and they knifed the guy. We don't want to be no legal responsibilities.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whatever happens to you guys, it's not our fault.
No.
Let's
The
see,
subliminal messaging will help in that.
We got King Little Caesar from the last stream. Howdy. Thank you very much for joining us.
Howdy. I still love that name. King
yes,
Little Caesar.
absolutely. Same. I think I
Genius.
saw fan art of that, and I really it was literally the Little Caesars logo with King
the
Caesar.
little dude. Oh, that's fun. Great.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, started the stream while I'm watching a Muay Thai fight wrapping up. That's honestly the best kind of combination you can have there.
Getting geared up for the mosh pit.
Yeah, exactly. You got dudes physically beating up each other, and now we got dudes verbally beating each other up. Or like we're beating ourselves up with all of our self-deprecating humor.
On the inside.
Sean Berry says Steven Seagal, aka a man whose gut now prevents him from running.
Yeah, his enemies get caught in his gravitational orbit, his pull there. That's how I saw okay, so there's a whole portion of YouTube dedicated specifically to shitting on Steven Seagal's new filmic output, and it's tragic to the point where he needs a stunt double to stand. Like in long shots where he's just walking down a corridor or a street, they have to have a guy, 3 inches taller than him, 12 inches thinner than him, do that for him.
A hairline that's like 2 inches like further down than his.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that is like the poster board again for masculine insecurity. Because in the roles, he has never got to the point where he has accepted his Billy Joel sad husk of a man phase. So now he's still doing love scenes with the hot supermodels in his movies and
clearly uncomfortable in their roles.
Oh, help those poor women! And he's always like the Navy SEAL operative. There's only one man who can infiltrate this.
Like at this point, he should be like the old guy coming out of retirement to do badass shit, or the guy training the new guy off the block to do the next badass shit. Like he should be like the old mentor figure who's way long past his prime, but he refuses to do that. Like what? Like even if it's like there was that I forgot which movie it was, but it was like a movie where he's just doing the whole fight scene while sitting down because that fat bastard couldn't bother to stand up.
Somebody did I think it was, I don't remember. There's a group of like CGI artists online who I think did it, but they inserted him into one of the John Wick movie trailers to where he's fighting completely in like a wheelie office chair, and you see that silhouette in the distance as he's karate chopping along. But no, wasn't he never had like, I don't know if like it was offered to him and he turned it down, or they turned him down because he was too hard to work with, but he wasn't in the Expendables, right?
Right. He's never been in the Expendables. The last mainstream theatrically released movie he was in, I believe, was Machete by Robert Rodriguez. And
he was a villain in that. I remember he had like a sword fight with Danny Trejo. See, that could have been a fine enough send off.
Right.
Go and out on top.
Yeah. And honestly, and that movie is like 10, 15 years old now.
Would have been perfect in one of the Spy Kids movies, though, too. Just imagine.
Yeah, that is true.
Just put him, like no effects added to him, just him as. Oh boy.
Oh yeah, and Sean later said Orson Welles had the better obese gut because he was still a classy bastard.
That's right. We're going
to always.
This is not the vanity program, but we will be comparing other people's ginormous, gigantic guts tonight. And, yeah.
Big O says, I think they need to get him back on SNL. Isn't he like banned from SNL after his one and only appearance?
Oh yeah, everybody says he was the worst host.
Right,
by
he was the worst
long
host.
shot.
Yeah,
everyone has a horror story who was there.
Yeah, because he refused to be part of the joke. He refused to be made fun of. It's like he gets to dress down other people, or he just beats the shit out of other people, but he can never be in on the joke.
He's one of the very few South Park spoofs that there's no exaggeration there. That is him.
It's just him.
Yeah.
There's people.
You call me Fanny Fanny. A little dance that he does. Yeah. And there's a private Steven Seagal joke that involves a certain Muppet between you and I that I get a lot of enjoyment out of with a certain. Yeah. I should I ask the question and will you grant me the impression since it's been so long?
Well, I forgot what
I have to ask you, Andres.
Yes.
I have to ask you, and you'll understand.
Okay.
Miss Piggy, are you still dangerous? Thank you. No one understands that but you and I. It's our little secret handshake. Okay.
Fun fact, from when it comes to between Brayton and I, my Miss Piggy impression always gets him.
Oh yeah, you guys don't understand. Spot on. You are spot on to that character to the point where I don't know who they've got. Frank Oz is obviously retired from the role. Whoever is doing it now, once they're out, you need to send in a demo tape or something with all those impressions of that poor little girl from Gamera. Just send that in as your demo reel.
Kermit!
Yeah, I want to get in the sub too. It's just one of those things where I was taken so by surprise. One, because that voice, there's something magical in that voice that never ceases to make me laugh. But also, it's the last impression on Earth that I assumed you would be able to nail. It's just it's inorganic in my mind, that coming so perfectly out of you. So
the funny thing is, I had a similar reaction to that recently at work, where it wasn't Miss Piggy, but it was my Kermit impression that got them. When I just pull it's not easy being green, and that instantly got my coworkers.
They never expected
it. No, they never expected that.
No. You're a man of many voices and talents. We'll get into some of those talents later, but
exactly. Let's see here. What was it? Sean had a question. So, Brayton, since it's 2025, is Waffle Man able to pay off his post-college student loans?
Waffle Man is in a psych ward currently and deep comatose.
Now, for those of us joining in, Waffle Man, that is a reference to a very, very old bit of ours at this point.
There's a video on this channel that you can look up that explains the whole thing better than we can.
In fact, we explained this last year's audio synchronicity.
Every year we get together, we'll just be answering for our past crimes. That will be the theme tonight.
Hey, as long as I'm not answering for my past crimes with SOS, I'm totally fine with that.
No, that's what's done is done.
Exactly. What's done is done. What's said has been said. It cannot be taken back. I will not apologize for them.
I mean, look, being myself, editing that, listening to hundreds of hours of that delightful program, I've heard worse.
If it means anything, we didn't mean it.
That's right. Exactly. Satire.
Most of it.
Satire. That's
some of it. It was in good jest.
With a gentle spirit. That's all.
Let's see. Speaking of Frank Oz, say what you will about The Last Jedi. It was nice to see Frank Oz reprise his role as Yoda in a very endearing cameo.
Oh, yeah. Frank Oz, I saw for the very first time the film Trading Places this past year, which is the Eddie Murphy, Dan Aykroyd comedy. Jamie Lee Curtis has a very famous topless scene in that film.
Oh, I remember.
How could you forget? Oh my God. That's like I had never seen a screenshot or anything. And
the funny thing is, it just kind of comes out of nowhere. You're just not expecting
like your Miss Piggy impression. And like her, I had the same visceral reaction of laughter and then slight arousal and then confusion. But no, Frank Oz appears and that's a John Landis film. And famously, he also put him in Blues Brothers. So yeah, it's just great to see him. He has a voice for a Muppet to where I don't think he maybe could have ever had an on-screen role because it's so he's such a cartoon, it's such a this kind of voice. That's his regular speaking voice and everything.
Yeah.
But it was great to
I
see him
just
in that.
imagine like him and Jim Henson. I'd imagine that they were like the real life Bert and Ernie.
Oh, I want to believe that, and I don't. I hope someone else puts him in something before, because he's getting up there. Not I'm not foreshadowing anything, but the man is of he's an elder statesman, okay, of the Muppet family. And I hope, because the last thing he was in, I think, was Knives Out. And he has such a great part in Knives Out, which we watched together.
Was he the doctor? I forgot.
He was the one to read the will to the family.
Oh,
and then then he got fed up with everybody's shit and said, well, I'm done here. And then slapped his hands on his thighs and left. Yeah, that's when he's karate chopped James Bond there. Yeah, it was great. But no, that was fun for me to see, and a little Easter egg. So long live Frank Oz, the wonderful world of Frank Oz. Yeah,
for sure. So let's see here. What have we got today on our plate today? So first thing I wanted to talk about are just like random things that have occurred between our last episode back in April of 2024 and now. And I'm curious to know, if in your opinion, like, what were some of the biggest highlights of yours of the past year? I mean, like, just from like a typical pop culture standpoint, because the first thing off of my list was the two highlights out of the recent Paris Olympics, Summer Olympics.
Oh, what the hell happened at the Olympics?
Okay, so this was the first year that they had breakdancing as a sport there.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, we had the representative from Australia given a perfect score of 0, 0, 0, and 0. Pretty much making an entire mockery out of breakdancing. The biggest tragedy from
protest
breakdancing
score is what they call that.
Yes, it was the biggest tragedy to breakdancing since Breakin' 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Oh, that's a deep cut. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, time will tell how many more activities they put in this. I mean, skateboarding, is that in?
Good question.
Has that been in yet?
Take a quick look right now.
That'll be in there eventually.
I'm surprised it wasn't put in like in the early 2000s during like the peak of like the Tony Hawk craze and all that stuff.
But I mean, I don't know.
Skateboarding has been part of the Olympic Games since Tokyo 2020 and did return in Paris 2024.
Yeah, I mean, there is an Olympic level talent to be certain with that. Breakdancing, I think. Breakdancing is so specific, though, because why wouldn't you'd think they would automatically go to something like tango or flamenco style dancing,
I guess it's maybe there's just, I don't know.
Room for one competitor.
Maybe there's slightly more physical endurance involved in breakdancing, lifting your body off the ground, using a whole lot of like momentum and stuff like that, spinning around. I'm not sure.
but with tango, you got to lift someone else's body off the ground and spin them. And
that's true.
Not drop your date, hopefully. Otherwise, I mean,
and it's not like
the act.
It's not like this is. It's not like the Olympics doesn't have team sports. There's certainly team sports in the Olympics. So like, I can't see why you can't essentially turn this into an international version of Dancing with the Stars.
Exactly right. A little more dignity for the art of two-stepping it. I don't know.
Diego says, I'm sorry, she absolutely killed it. Sean Mary says, next Olympics, best dabber. Who can dab on them haters the most?
Water bottle. Well, bottle flipping is passe.
Bottle flipping, that's a good one. Absolutely.
Yeah. Domino stacking. I don't know. It's pencil drumming.
Who wants to bring back planking from like 2016? Best planker.
Oh, great. Great, yeah. Open with the Harlem Shake. Just have an entire Vine edition. There'll probably be a drunken frat rich person at some point who will bring up like internet social influencer Olympics, and it'll all be this stuff.
Who's going to take the best selfie ever? How about that? The selfie, the selfie Olympics.
An Olympic level selfie, T-posing, all of that.
Who can assert their dominance the hardest?
Yes.
Let's see. And the other one, the other highlight from the Olympics was I think he was from Turkey, the Turkish shoot. It was like the like a target
Yeah,
shooter.
who just eyeballed it.
Yeah. Like everyone's got all these like fancy gizmos and gadgets and weird sci-fi Metal Gear Solid outfits and glasses. You know,
Oculus headset.
Yeah, all doing crazy poses and whatnot to get the perfect score. Here's this dude, hand in his pocket, most chill, relaxing shot ever, and end up getting like a silver or bronze medal. And even though he didn't get the gold medal, instantly he was like the most popular thing on the internet for that entire event.
Man's had some practice, okay? They call him the Iceman back home in Turkey. Don't ask why. But I mean, no, I was expecting you. I'm sure you're familiar with the famous at this point probably 10-year-old clip of the bowler guy who goes, "Shit, yes, you saw that, I did that, yes, I am." I expected that kind of reaction, but no, he played it cool. That man was all over the webs.
Nice. We have JDFVA. Yo, hey, thank you for joining us.
Hey, yo.
Yo, back at ya.
Are we allowed to say yo?
I don't know.
Are we too old to say yo? Is it a young man's game?
You know what? If someone as old as Sylvester Stallone can pull out a yo,
well, he's grandfathered into it.
Yeah, well, maybe he's got.
It's an Italian thing. I don't know.
Let's see. Little Caesar brings up best Fortnite dance.
Poor. Side note: poor James Earl Jones's ghost. I just want to say.
Oh my God!
Andres, I want us to have that with you. Once you're gone, I want you to sell away all of your vocal rights to me to put into a shitty 12-year-old game where people can ask you to say "skibbity toilet" 12 times in a row.
What is this skibbity toilet you speak of?
No, Draco's. It'll be Draquito Azul with your voice. So that likeness with your vocal performance.
No me gusta. Please stop harassing me.
We'll build in a very effective, like they built in a chat command code or something for words to avoid, I believe, with that.
Right. And they
get around it.
Yeah, the internet is going to internet, and I just love I've seen clips all over the internet where it's like trying to make Darth Vader say the most ridiculous shit ever, or just like, hey, who would win in a fight between you or Goku from Dragon Ball Z?
Is this Goku a member of the Rebel Alliance? So they have in character responses from him,
which is pretty impressive. It's almost scary whenever like Darth Vader's really getting into character to talk about these things outside of Star Wars. It does get a little freaky at times. But then you've got him like trying to get him to say ridiculous stuff, like talking about Hatsune Miku or some shit. And that's like, that's pure gold.
Just James Earl Jones should not be saying Haktua from Beyond the Grave. I don't want to hear that. No one needs to hear that.
I do more about this Haktua.
Spit on that thing. No, I imagine addressing the AI frightening world that we live in. That will be on the docket at some point this evening because there's a lot to get into with that.
Absolutely.
But that's one thing of recent note that is frightening to say the least.
Absolutely. Sean Berry did say, I didn't mind the whole James Earl Jones voice thing for Obi-Wan Kenobi, as it was done in good taste. Plus, he still had a say in that production. I mean,
right. He was on the earth.
Enough. Yeah, he still existed in this plane of existence.
Yeah. There's just a level of creepiness and ickiness that I feel when the people aren't around to sign off on any papers anymore, and it's just a sad sort of metaphorically pissing on their grave type of thing when you're getting him to say really hateful. Yeah, well, I mean that's one thing.
No. Okay, yeah. The genuinely like hateful stuff or like very offensive yeah. That's. If someone's using my voice from Beyond the Grave to be using like spread hatred and bigotry just for the sake of the lulz, it's like, yeah, you know what? I don't think I'd be comfortable with. There's always going to be the part of me that likes the sort of like dumb, dark humor kind of shit. But it's like, still, my voice. If my voice was out there being abused like that,
you're appropriating someone else's memory, and the buck has to stop somewhere, and that's for us to do in private and send those to David. That's where
exactly we can have us say fucked up shit in private.
It's harmless that way because it's
We're not hurting anyone except David.
Yeah, except ourselves. And what happens in Fight Club? Well, you know the rest. You know.
Yes. What was it? But the other thing, well, it was one thing that they got the permission from from James Earl Jones' estates. So,
Mhm.
you know, that technically that's one thing. It's like ultimately who is responsible for your voice, your likeness, and all that stuff. That's one thing. Like I recently saw a video that was about ridiculous prod or brand collabs where it's just like random pop culture brands to collabing to produce weird random stuff that no one's been asking for, like Godzilla hot sauce or Godzilla soap or Godzilla coffee.
No Godzilla fleshlight, just to bring that back around once more. Okay.
Hey.
Yeah.
And what was it, like SpongeBob? No one's asking for SpongeBob bath bombs or SpongeBob, I don't know, shower curtains or something like that, or
Yeah.
Supreme branded. There recently came out with a version of Optimus Prime, OG 80s toy Optimus Prime with the Supreme fashion logo on him, and it's like, who was asking for this? Who wanted this? And the YouTuber who made this video brought up a really good point with that when it came to what fuck, why am I blanking out on his name? You see, I always do this. I always am blanking out on people's names. Bob, the painter,
Bob Ross.
Bob Ross, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Where basically the company behind his show went behind his back essentially while he was dying of cancer. Went behind his back to have the rights to his likeness, his imagery, his entire body of work, and pretty much are using that to produce all sorts of Bob Ross merchandising, you know, Funko Pops and fashion lines and all sorts of accessories.
Yeah.
And his family gets none of it. They get no say in any of it. It's pretty much like a really, really scummy, very skeezy thing that they did here in terms of like using this dead man's likeness for their own profit, all against him. And even like while he was dying, they were just like still taking advantage of him, and he knew they were taking advantage of him, and he was trying to stop it from happening. But obviously, you know, he was very preoccupied with other more important matters, such as staying the fuck alive.
Yeah, that's that sort of sophisticated merchandising elder abuse thing is happening more. I imagine a lot of that. There's a big Stan Lee documentary that I guess we can talk about along the same lines. But I was talking to someone recently about To Kill a Mockingbird and how Harper Lee, in her own way, was kind of taken advantage of when Go Set a Watchman was set out. As for people who don't know, that was never meant as a sequel or anything.
Right.
It was a
just
rough manuscript.
It was a first draft of what would become To Kill a Mockingbird.
Right, and it was only she was like on her deathbed and everything when any of this was negotiated to publish this, and then it being released, you know, beyond that point as a sequel and marketed that way. That puts a stain on her legacy because now everybody is crying about, what did you do to my childhood hero? When really this was not meant to be seen, you know, and especially with a story there when it's her, in a way, her autobiography. It's about her and about her father, kind of profiting off of that and contorting, you know, misconstruing it. It's all an ugly gray area. And with the to bring it back to the James Earl Jones thing, there's a big lawsuit that I think the Voice Actors Guild or SAG-AFTRA filed against who's the company behind Fortnite, Epic Games or something.
Yes.
About the use of this, because it just sets a precedent of, you know, how far will this go if this technology, the genie's out of the bottle with the technology.
Oh yeah. We did talk about this where it's like, the technology, as long as it's out there, as long as it's free, you know, as long as it's widely available, there's no way you can, you know, put the genie back in the bottle.
No,
you know, we've opened up Pandora's box and there's no going back.
Closing it now. It's evolving so quickly. The problem is the people who get their hands on it and misappropriate it and want to use it for devious means. And I can see the same thing with, you know, a lot of extra actors in the Actors Guild. I think they're filing a lawsuit too for not having to sign away their likeness so they can just CGI recreate you in any movie that they want. want. You kind of have to submit to a full body scan, I think was something new they were trying to announce. And there's a lot of pushback against that, rightfully so, I think.
Right.
But
Funny story. It reminds me of this one actor who's known for playing like a bunch of like the typical generic Hispanic Mexican gangster, and he's called Hector.
David Gorzart Hernandez.
Yeah, David Gorzart Hernandez. This guy, he's literally played this character named Hector in all of these movies, just as this like Mexican cholo thug guy. And I'm thinking to myself, now with the power of AI, you can recreate your own Hector, and every movie can have a digitally recreated Hector.
Merchandising.
Where's our Hector Funko Pop?
Oh my god.
Yeah, this it's like, and that big companies are going to want to use this technology to produce stuff as quickly and as cheaply as affordably as possible, and they're going to take any shortcut imaginable,
of course.
So, and that's the thing, it's like with this technology out there, again, no amount of public shaming or protesting is ever going to make this technology just magically disappear. But at the same time, it's all depends on how it's being used. We've talked about it before, I think, like in private conversations, about how AI, at least in terms of like as a can be used as a tool, whether it's like AI upscaling older archival material,
audio and visuals, and there's no fighting to stop it, but there should be fighting to regulate it. I think, because
yes, exactly,
companies and tech bro company billionaire industries will do all they can. I mean, they have no creativity and they already hate paying the artists, so any way that they can cut out the middleman, they'll leap to right away. So I think it is part of the public's responsibility to movies, music, whatever that comes out,
books. I know that they're like,
books,
ever since people have been using Chat GPT to just like
write
shit out
books.
a new book. Yeah.
Amazon at this point is probably full of that. Like Chuck Tingle can just rest back now. That poor man.
You can probably I'm sure you can do that. Get every single book from Chuck Tingle's bibliography, feed it into an algorithm, and produce like the most spot on Chuck Tingle parody book imaginable.
Yeah, at that point, it's just like playing Mad Libs, where it's just like, okay, insert, I want an unpleasant mythological folkloric character having unwanted relationships with whatever. Give me 10 different options to choose from, and you'll have it there right in front of your eyes. It's
you patented, you packaged it, and now you're selling it. Now you're selling it.
Condors. Okay. Anyhow.
Yeah. And what I think we're gonna eventually reach a boiling point where when so much of this stuff is unregulated and it's just clogging the market, eventually people have already started noticing the quality of writing, especially from AI books, where it's just a bunch of nonsensical gibberish that contradicts itself every other page. And with so much of it clogging up the market, eventually I feel like it's going to lead to oversaturation. It's eventually going to hit a boiling point where eventually no one's going to want. It kind of reminds me a bit of like the video game crash of the 80s, where this is pre-Nintendo days. This is like when Atari used to be on top, where no regulation was put on the output of video games. And everyone and their grandmother was producing just a bunch of cheap knockoff video games that were just ripping off each other. And with so many video games coming out, clogging up the market, eventually no one was playing video games because they thought they all sucked. And so for the longest time, there was that's what caused the big crash. And eventually when Nintendo came onto the scene, they're like, oh, no, this ain't a video game console. This is a toy that you can interact with our robot accessory named Rob the Robot. And eventually Nintendo came in and said, okay, guys, if you're going to make video games for our hot new system, you can only do 2 video games a year. And we're not going to give you the patent to make games for our system unless you abide by this restriction, at which point we'll put the Nintendo seal of approval on it to let the customer know that it's of quality.
Yeah, I think this is going to be an ongoing thing for the foreseeable future, because we're in such a we're in such a gray cloud now of where it's being used and where it's not being used. I think there obviously has to be, clear labeling and transparency when it is used. There has to be, consent of rights, and people need to be paid for the work that they do. Labor needs to be protected. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. But the AI writing is, I can kind of look, especially for shit posts and memes. Some of the voice stuff is funny. Okay, some of the images are funny.
Absolutely.
We've dabbled and it's been funny, but with writing specifically, that's almost like every human being should have their own thoughts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like if you want to use it as like a spell check or like a quick facts, like research fix or whatever, but if you're profiting off of just the algorithm regenerating, other people's ideas into fiction, especially, there's just a next level of not right there for me. And on YouTube, the AI like narration thing has taken the internet by swarm. I get nothing but that now, and you can always tell that it's a flat AI voice reading AI text.
Yeah,
and I think there's an enjoyment level that people are rebelling against where that does bother them. Just sort of that uncanny valley type area, but.
Oh yeah. Oh, by the way, Sean mentioned in terms of positive uses, Grammarly and ChatGPT can help with grammar and structure ideas.
Yeah.
That's different. I recently was using ChatGPT, just testing it out in terms of translating, where I've noticed that it's on the level. ChatGPT has reached the level of, say, Google Translate and other like online free translators.
That's good. Yeah.
Yeah. It's learning very quickly in terms of using it as a tool. Once I get this translation, I compare it to other translations. I have a friend of mine who is fluent in Japanese, looks at it, and it's like, yeah, this pretty much is very, very spot on. And in terms of like, again, as a tool, in terms of how you can use it, it can be very interesting and can open up the door for many potential things. In terms of generative content, that's a whole other story.
Right, it's a whole different can of worms.
Yeah, you're instead of having AI to touch on something that already exists, you're having it create something from scratch by basing it off of other material with or without permission from the original creator. That's when you get into some hot water there. And I do feel like eventually, I think it's already happening with books, especially, where you have large publishing companies actually suing a lot of these like tech companies for essentially creating algorithms that are using their own intellectual properties for their outputs. And I'm pretty sure a big company like, let's say Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling, one of the most successful authors right now. Harry Potter, one of the largest properties right now. I'm fairly certain she nor her company is going to appreciate companies using her material for their products. And I'm sure her and other large companies are going to be like, no, this is going to stop right now. And I feel like that's where like the regulations are going to eventually come into play.
I couldn't get a word on whether or not there was a letter going around or a piece of text going around marked as from Ghibli directly when it comes to the AI, because
yes, I remember
specifically
that
was a giant fad for a month where you can literally type in, I want you to copy this specifically, and takes you 3 seconds to do. And I don't know. I am such in just like 6 in one hand, half a dozen to the other with it, where it's like if someone wants to do like a cute AI Ghibli picture of their Chihuahua or something, just for them to have, and it makes them feel good. Yeah. That's fine. It's whatever. But it's all the problem to me where if you have the means to pay the artist, if you're a company, that changes it entirely. And if you're using it to profit, it's do the right thing for once, humanity. You don't have a great track record in that regard, but this is a very potentially world-ending thing we're dealing with at our hands.
You know what the freakiest thing I've seen with just this past week?
The Google thing, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Maybe you can tell me the Google thing. I'm not familiar with it.
It's a big thing.
Okay, because like the thing that I saw, people like AI has gotten to the point where people were making videos of AI characters believing that they are not AI characters.
That's
Where
it.
it's
I think
where-
that's it. I think we're talking about the same thing. The video where it's like, oh, you're saying we all come from prompts?
It's like I do not believe in. Can you believe these guys believe in the prompt theory
Yeah,
that we're
that's
all a
it.
bunch of zeros and ones? And I'm
Yeah.
like, what the fuck am
That's
I watching
the
here?
Google VEO or something it's called, where it's a video generating thing where
Yeah.
it perfectly lip syncs,
Mhm.
generates a voice, an entire environment. I watched one of like a fake car show, like a
Yeah.
car dealership show, and it's very uncanny. It's still very much in like the Robert Zemeckis, God, what is that? What's the train Christmas movie? Polar Express
Polar
type
Express,
area,
yeah.
where you can tell like the movements are very unnatural. But it's
Right,
gotten to
right.
the point where like if you squint, like if your grandma sees this stuff,
Yeah.
I don't have any doubts that she'll buy it. You know what I mean?
Oh no,
It's-
for sure. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like for older people who are not even aware of this technology, I'm sure it's already happened where like older people are just sharing it to their younger like relatives. Oh, look at this nice artwork of Godzilla I found. You see, and you're like, oh, that's AI or
yeah, and
whatever.
there's a lot of concerning deep fake potential with that.
Yeah,
you
that
know?
is very scary as well.
I don't know where things are looking ahead with all of that stuff, but or how that is going to be implemented into, again, making commercials with people's likenesses and all of that. It's going to be
Right.
it's going to be a very long and winding road for this technology, and
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
we
So
have
it's-
no choice.
in a way, it's like I'm curious. I'm just very, very curious just where it's going to go. It's already gone to like crazy places, but I can only imagine just how much is this going to grow. I feel like any technology, it's going to explode. It's going to be abused. People are going to eventually get tired of it. And I feel like eventually it's going to like reach like an equal, what do you call, not an equilibrium. It's going to reach like a point where everything kind of like balances out,
Like
where
a
people are-
plateau.
that's what
Once
I'm-
we
yeah, it
once
eventually
we
plateaus.
finally master Will Smith eating spaghetti, we'll know
Yes.
that we are.
We're like, we finally did it. What next?
I don't
Fucking, I don't know.
Chris Rock eating lasagna. Where do we go from here?
Can we go back to that prompt of the Rock eating rocks?
That's it. Yeah. We've
Yeah.
got three things. We're trying to work those out.
And I do feel like, like if it ends up unfortunately getting to the point where it does take away jobs from certain people, I do feel like it's ultimately going to be like one of those things where it's this new piece of technology that's going to completely change the market. And it's going to be one of those things where you either adapt with the times or fall behind. It's kind of like when sound was introduced to cinema, and a lot of people who were used to the silent movie days just could not adapt because a lot of them just did not have the technical knowledge for sound recording technology, or they were actors who simply did not have the proper voice for sound movies. And so it was like a great shift where it provided opportunities for some people and closed doors for other people. When color movies and color TV came into play, or when digital was introduced over analog, I feel like this is just going to be one of those things that's going to shake up a lot of industries, and eventually it's going to reach a point where it's like, okay, this is the new norm now. So either I get used to it, or I'm just not going to have a job anymore and got to find something else to do.
Yeah, it's still pretty dystopian though. Like I think the argument against that is with sound or with CGI, all this stuff, it's still at least empowered human artists to do that work.
Yeah.
There's a fundamental human
That's true.
creativity in it, where
Right.
there's a fundamental lack of humanity if you're just going to replace people entirely.
Yeah.
And I think there's just a big, and we can move on at some point rather than being all sad about this stuff. But my whole point is that you just got to learn how to balance your technical innovation with the ethical responsibility and your sort of duty to your art that all artists should have fundamentally, but yeah. Hey, if you want to generate General Grievous as a puppy dog, have at it. Just don't spend, don't charge people for it, I guess. AI Draco Azul. Have you seen that yet? Have you tried that yet for your own sick pleasure?
Honestly, yeah, for my own curiosity, this is way back in the early days of AI, and I tried asking it a prompt to create Primal Warrior Draco Azul, and it never could.
No.
Only it would just create like a random blue, like warrior. When I put Primal Warrior Draco Azul, it just creates a blue barbarian warrior type of character or a thing. And the funny thing is that it's like, I think it's able to, back in the day at the very least, the algorithm was able to put out images of Batman or Darth Vader or whatever, or Ultraman, because there were enough images out there. There were enough images floating out there to culminate into an original image. I don't think Draco Azul is that popular enough, or that images of Draco Azul are not widespread enough for algorithms to know what the fuck Draco Azul is.
Well, I think even if you describe him piece by piece, there's no nuance to what it would generate.
Right.
And
right.
I have tried, the only thing I've tried with any image generating in terms of Chat GPT or whatever is I've been drawing daily for the last couple of years, just doodling for my own amusement.
And you're great at it.
Well, thank you very much. We'll talk about that a little bit maybe, but I did try on one occasion. I put in, you can upload images. I put in an image of my pencil drawing, and I asked it to color and digitally ink this drawing that I'm giving you. But but the problem is it changes it. Like it warps my drawing until I draw a picture of, let's go with David again, or a Draco Azul, and it will change so much of my original work to where it can't. It's still not. It's still not perfect. It lacks the human nuance, and again has to throw its own gobbledygook in there. I don't know. I'm kind of on a tangent here, but it's a scary type of business.
No, I totally get that. And I think it's going to be one of those moments. This is the optimistic side of me.
Yes.
Where I feel that it's going to be one of those moments where independent creators like ourselves are going to be forced to really strive to prove ourselves that we still matter during these crazy, unpredictable, changing times, where if people want to say, hey, don't use that AI algorithm, use me instead, I'm more reliable, I can do what you need, what needs to be done, here's my proof of it. If people are willing to just buckle under pressure and spout doom and gloom, that I feel like something like that kind of attitude is not going to help you. It's not going to help anyone else. It's not going to help your peers. It's not going to help anyone else. So it's just one of those matters where you just got to buckle the fuck up, buckle down, get ready, improve yourselves, try and just do the best that you can to make the best kind of impression possible to get people interested in your work and see the value in your work. Obviously, I'm sure our artists out there have a lot of value in their work. You just got to show the world that that value does exist.
Agreed. I agree wholeheartedly. And Sean posits a third potential prompt: Orson Welles eating France. Instead of, and
the French,
tasty Frenchman frozen peas.
They're even better when they're dead.
Oh God, Orson Welles has Galactus. Why hasn't the internet gone on this train? Oh my God, very good, Sean. Thank you. Okay. Well, we can move on. Happier thoughts.
Okay. Yes. Well, you know what? Earlier on our conversation, our deep dive conversation, Mr. Spoodersaurus, love that name, said, "How is the comic doing?" I'm glad you asked, because I have been doing a lot with Primal Warrior Draco Azul. While I have not started the fourth installment in the ongoing series, there is a project that I've been wanting to do since moving back to America back in 2022. And thankfully, with the help of my good friend Patrick Miura, a friend of mine from Brazil, currently living in Dublin, he is a wonderful, fantastic artist. Hey, we were talking about artists who can prove themselves, prove that they can get shit done. This is an amazingly talented individual that I have really come to befriend, him and his wife. And they're both incredibly wonderful people. And Patrick, being the kind of guy that I can get along with, that I can work very well with, who's just as passionate about tokusatsu and anime as I am. We really had that connection. And so we collaborate together on a Draco Azul one-shot, if you will. This is a story that I had been developing since starting my new job here in Seattle for the past year. I had the script finished in 2024, and we had finally started working on the comic this month. Back in at the end of April we started, start of May we started. And so this is a side story, a Draco Azul side story that's essentially a big tribute to my time in Japan. For those who don't know, I was an English teacher living in Gifu City within Gifu Prefecture in the countryside of Japan for 6 years. And it means so much to me that I wanted to pay tribute by having Draco Azul visit the Japanese countryside in a fictional city based on Gifu.
And eat it.
And yes, Orson Welles style, no.
That's right.
And have an adventure fighting off an evil demon that wishes to destroy everything. It's kind of like a standard, side story. It doesn't directly affect the main story. This is just a side adventure where Team Draco goes to Japan, meet some new friends, and have a lot of kick-ass action going on. And so I'm just going to share this right here. Let's see, not this image in particular. This is I've already started uploading on Webtoon. So Patrick and I have been uploading 2 pages a week every Sunday. So tomorrow you'll be getting another 2 pages. And we decided to turn this one-shot comic into a web series so that we can make this comic free for everyone, Americans and Japanese, to watch it for free or to read this comic for free and follow along with it. So it's been a wonderful journey. It's been absolutely a blast to be able to produce this, just be making comics again. Now that I'm in a position to where I can afford to do so. And so far the response has been very, very positive. People have really enjoyed the art. They've enjoyed the new characters that I've introduced. And yeah, I just can't wait for people to see what this series, this mini series has in store for people.
Incredible.
Let's see, just sharing here. Let's see. Just trying to find that image. There we go. And share. There we go. And we have ourselves Primal Warrior Draco Azul Gaiden Hellfire.
Darkfire. Beautiful. Oh, that's amazing.
Absolutely. And so, yeah, you can see a little bit of the main villain of this series, Daisanjuel, an ancient evil salamander fire demon that wishes to incinerate the entire Japanese countryside, but not if Team Draco, as well as a mysterious third combatant, are able to put a stop to this fire beast's, epic rampage.
Is it a giant gecko that wants to sell the salamander car insurance?
Unfortunately not. It'll be something not
Excellent.
as epic, but something that will truly mean a lot for anyone who knows a thing or two about Gifu culture.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
So yeah, so this is the title card. This is the poster art for Primal Warrior Draco Azul Gaiden Hellfire. We have our 2 new Japanese characters of Yosuke and Akiko. We have Team Draco. We have Draco Azul there. Teases for the new kaiju involved. And so, yeah, and as well as a castle at the very top, reminiscent of Gifu Castle, atop of Mount Kinka in Gifu City. So, yeah, a lot of it is based on real locations. In a way, I took a lot of inspiration from this movie from 2016 called Your Name. And this movie was based heavily on the Gifu Prefecture. And I remember when that movie came out, a lot of my students went to see that movie because it was not every day that Gifu gets acknowledged as or referenced as a source of inspiration for a big popular movie. So there was certainly a lot of that Gifu pride that came out. It's like, oh wow, for the first time we're being represented here in a big movie. And yeah, and on top of that,
and in a positive light, right?
In a positive light,
Okay,
absolutely, yes.
Not as some shanty town or anything. It's good representation.
For sure. Let's see. And Mr. Spoodersaurus says, is that the castle King Kong Godzilla destroyed? No, that is Osaka Castle. There's basically a whole lot of castles that look like that all over Japan. It's not like there's this one castle that happens to have that. It was just a very common design. Some castles are bigger than others. Some are taller than others. Some are wider. But
they're not pagodas.
They're not pagodas. Their pagodas are a completely different thing. Yeah. Don't let James Rolfe confuse you.
He's done that enough. He's confused us all with his odd camera placement routines.
Drilling holes in old 80s furniture.
Oh my god.
Oh, poor Bimmy.
They need to. Why don't they make like a back rooms Five Nights at Bimmy's or something, like a like a first person like escape from the nerd cave type of game with it.
And like fucking Bugs Bunny's gonna be one of the animatronics,
or all the slobs. Yes.
So yeah, Primal Warrior Dracozool. It's free on Webtoon. You can check it right this second. We have the first 4 pages or first. Let's see, I think first 6 pages available. So pages 7 and 8 will be uploaded tomorrow. Definitely check it out. Patrick and I are really proud of what we have brought to the table. And yeah, hope you enjoy it. Now, in terms of more Dracozool content out there, another thing that I had worked on was something that involved me and our
Dracozool bath bombs.
Speaking of we were talking earlier about unnecessary things. Yes, Dracozool the flamethrower. Dracozool what's the thing? Dracozool the blend, the coffee blend.
Dracozool the doll. Me.
You press it. May the Schwartz protect you.
Precious.
Let's see. And so the other thing that I worked on last year is Primal Warrior Dracozool Death's Gate. This is a novel that I had co-written with my wonderful friend Laura Fitkin. This happened in the second half of 2024. She approached me with this a pitch for a Dracozool story in which Team Draco teams up with a young boy and his giant griffin monster, pet griffin monster, and they just go off on an adventure that involves fighting off demons from an ancient, mysterious civilization that no man had uncovered until now. And so I thought, you know what, this has the potential for a really cool story. And we essentially turned it into a giant Dracozool meets Indiana Jones type of storyline. Ancient civilizations, ancient demons. We have like evil human gangster villains, ancient inhuman villains. We got twists and turns going all around, a lot of imaginative action sequences, very wonderful.
A few less racial Indian stereotypes. Just
exactly. Instead, we put all the Mexican stereotypes.
That's it.
What are they weigh?
and I love that's Laura's bouncing baby back there, Griffin.
Yes,
it's a gigantic demon from hell. It's perfect.
And his name is Griffin, named after Griffin.
Amazing.
It's Griffin the Griffin.
Love that.
Absolutely. So yeah, I really enjoyed this story, and working on this story, it was a lot of fun because it allowed Laura and I to really showcase our personal strengths that made up for each other's weaknesses. Like I was I'm more, working with comics, I've always been more of a visual person. So I always enjoyed writing fight sequences, visualizing them in my head, having each fight progress with a beginning, middle, and end, making sure the pacing is consistent. Meanwhile, Laura is really good with like the smaller, quieter, personal, character-driven moments, and I feel like with the two of us, with our own sort of like priorities and strengths, we were able to put together a story that we're incredibly both proud of. And so it was really cool to work with her and to just flesh out the story in ways neither of us could have done alone. And so, and people have read it, they've really enjoyed it, and it's just wonderful to be able to produce another novel out there. This, much like Hellfire, this is another one-off short side story taking place concurrently alongside the comic book series. The comic book is the main story, whereas the novels and this Hellfire web comic, they're all side stories.
They're all what Draco Azul gets up to on his weekends off.
Exactly.
His side quest,
Eventually, I do plan on doing a fourth Draco Azul comic, and the main comic. It's just that I've been. It's just like it's not that I've been distracted, but it's more like a lot of these great ideas I want to do first before moving on with the main story.
Yeah.
And finally, last thing is so convention season is coming up, and the first convention I'm going to is next weekend. I'll be going to Kaiju Brooklyn 2025. This was a convention, a new kaiju convention made for the East Coast folks, started by a friend of mine named John Bellotti Jr. And if you're ever a fan of the old SOS podcast, you may have heard that name dropped from time to time during our old road trip to G-Fest stories, where we met a lot of wonderful artists back in the day. James Biggie, Larry Quach, Jeff Zornow, and Chris Martinez, Keith Foster, my own comics artist, Tyler Souls. And so one of them, John Bellotti Jr., he decided that, he wanted to start his own kaiju convention. So 2023, he started Kaiju Brooklyn. It was just a one-day convention. And last year, I attended the second one, which was also a one-day convention. And honestly, I had a really good time with that. And so this time around, it's going to be a 2-day convention over at a portion of Brooklyn called Industrial City. And so it's sort of like a, what do you call it? Like a community hub. It's not a convention center. It's a community hub where like there are portions of the convention that are outdoors, portions that are indoors, within various department stores. It's a little weird to describe, but once you're there,
just call it a giant nerd swap meet, and they'll understand.
You could totally say that, yeah. But this convention, it seems to be quickly growing a following. It's definitely, honestly, if I'm being perfectly honest here, between this and another G-Fest alternative, as I like to call it, All Monsters Attack, Kaiju Brooklyn, the one day of Kaiju Brooklyn was way better of a turnout than the 3 days I wasted at All Monsters Attack 2023. As I've been to the first All Monsters Attack, I went to the third All Monsters Attack. I did not go to the second, and I did not go to the fourth one that happened last weekend. But from what I hear, the turnout wasn't very great. And honestly, I think a big mistake was just having a convention be so close to G-Fest in the exact same city as G-Fest. If people are going to plan a trip to Chicago, more than likely they're going to wait for the convention that's already there. Whereas with Kaiju Brooklyn, I feel like they're making the smart choice by, starting out small, growing from there, and focusing more on the locals, on that East Coast demographic, as opposed to like, hey, everyone who normally goes to G-Fest, come to this convention instead.
Yeah, I mean, the East Coast that's a great spot. I think in the early days of G-Fest, back in the late 90s, they had They had at one time, I know for certain, this is back when it was G-Con,
Mhm.
they had both in the same year a New York and a Chicago G-Fest like convention in both those spots. And I think
Mhm.
they had one in Los Angeles a couple times. But
Mhm.
no, I'm sure there's a great subset of kaiju fans there, and far away from where any Canadian can send undercover agents to disrupt and pee in any ball pits over there or anything. I don't know. No, it
Oh
sounds
yeah.
like a great time.
Oh yeah, and I'm looking forward to it. So if any of you guys are on the East Coast or are planning on going to Kaiju Brooklyn, it's next weekend. You can get your tickets now, or you can probably get your tickets on the spot, I believe. I'm going to be there as one. I'm going to be part of the Artist Alley vendors tables. My table is going to be directly behind the official Ultraman Connection table. And from there, I'll be selling my books, such as Death's Gate. I'll be selling my comics. And I'll be selling a new piece of merchandise that I just got today that I'm so happy, excited to show you guys. I have produced a new line of Draco Azul acrylic keychains.
Oh my god!
There
Oh
you
my
go.
god!
We
Oh, how
have
beautiful!
ourselves the Draco Azul acrylic keychain collection, Volume 1. Here we have designs created by my friend and roommate, Steve Tao. These are all, aside from Draco Azul, these are all characters that have previously appeared in Primal Warrior Draco Azul Issue 1. And so each of them will be sold for $10 each, or if you're a big fan, you can purchase the whole bundle for $45. So these will be debuting at at Kaiju Brooklyn next week. And you know what? Depending on how well they'll sell, we'll most likely produce more in very, very soon.
Oh, those are sensational! Everybody, grab them up. Get one for me. My
Yeah.
God. And go see Andres. I'll vouch for him. He doesn't bite. He does hug. So if you're taller than him,
I'm
you
a
can
big
kind of.
hugger, yes.
That's right. You kind of got to back him off a little bit. He's persistent. But no, that's incredible. I love. Look at your little wings.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We got Aquapithecus, we have Zubasa, we have Roku, we have Cycloptopus, and we have Draco Azul flying off, blades in hand, ready
The
to
first
kick some
issue
ass.
rogues.
The first issue rogues, yes.
Beautiful.
I've always had a soft spot for Aquapithecus myself,
Yeah.
mainly because he is based off an old drawing that I made back in elementary school. I had
Yeah.
watched Clash of the Titans at that time, just at right around that time. I loved the Kraken, and so I made my own version of the Kraken, and so I eventually carried him with him into Draco Azul.
Yeah, I love him. He's kind of got a look like the Gill Man, specifically from the Monster
Yes.
Squad.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
always reminded me of too.
He was also another very big inspiration. Gillman and the Kraken. Basically, I wanted to create a very humanoid type of, like a humanoid muscular fish man sort of deal.
Yeah.
And then with Zubasa, Cycloptopus, Roku, these are all just like random ideas out the top of my head. Like, oh, wouldn't it be cool to have a monster with noodle arms with spikes on the end? Wouldn't it be cool to have, your typical.
This is long before the Danger Noodle appeared.
Yes.
Yeah.
What if I had a Danger Noodle with a spring-loaded jaw, like an 80s action figure toy?
Yes.
So yeah.
A maniacal Pez dispenser, something like that. Yeah. I love Cycloptopus's. He just always looks done with everybody. He's.
He doesn't have a lot of patience.
No.
You just look at him, he's like.
He's still dangerous, and if you had like inside out characters in your brain, he would be angry.
Yes, he would. Congratulations, Seattle! You've ruined tacos.
Can that be his voice?
Sure.
Okay.
He can be he can have the
Louis
inner
Black.
monologue of Louis
Yeah.
Black. Yes.
Amazing.
So yeah. So like I said, these are convention exclusive. So if you're very interested, you can pick them up. What was the old catchphrase from Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie? Take them home in boxes, take them home in cases. If your parents try to stop you, just throw it in their faces.
That's it.
Yes.
Please wear a wizard hat. Just for showmanship's sake.
I'll see what I can do, my friend.
Yeah, just whip something together. Brilliant though. I wish I
Yes.
was there. Take me in Brooklyn. The
In
heart
Brooklyn.
of Brooklyn.
No
Okay.
no sleep till Brooklyn, my
Right,
friend.
as I
No sleep till
hear.
Brooklyn. Speaking of which, let me see if I can find it. I should have had it set up. Last year I did a collaboration with Sakura Central, which is a website that I'm a part of. And we produce a whole lot of like Japanese pop culture related articles. You can check out the website. You can follow the social medias. And I did a collaboration with them. Sakura Central is run by my friend Nick Huber, and he will be at Kaiju Brooklyn, running the game room. He'll be helping out with the game room, I believe.
Running it. Let's say running it, and
Oh,
he
yeah,
will be
yeah,
there
like,
with a ruler to keep everyone in line. You know.
Speaking of the arcade room, so my friends Johnny and Augustus, aka Creature Preacher, those two started their own business called Tokucade, where they'll be writing arcade games based on mecha and kaiju at various kaiju conventions, as more seem to be popping up around the country.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the same people who ran the game room, who helped run the game room for G-Fest back in the day. So now they're like providing their services to everyone else. So if you've been to G-Fest and you've always enjoyed the game room, this is the kind of quality you'll be expecting. And you can also follow them on social media as Tokucade. So Nick is going to be helping out with them. And we did a collaboration the previous year where he had a photo booth essentially. And he and I, we did a poster. We commissioned our friend Garayan to produce a collaboration poster where I had Draco Zul fighting their mascot, Ark, and I had Team Draco dressed up as the Beastie Boys from the music video to Intergalactic. Let me see if I can find it. Intergalactic, planetary, intergalactic.
My God.
Let's see here. And let's see. We did have a question here. Is there a link for the site? For Kaiju Brooklyn, let me find it right now. It's literally kaijubrooklyn.com. That's where you can find all the info there. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see. Let's hope this link is working. Yes, I just shared it in the chat. Hope that works for you guys, for anyone who is interested. Let's see here. Looking for that image. Let's see here. Just looking for it. Let's see. I always get nervous whenever you're looking for stuff on the spot because then it's just nothing but dead air.
Help me. Well, I will just say that, let's see here. Okay, I'll read some comments for you that fill some space.
Oh.
Okay. Someone says, where are we at? Okay. Darn sellouts, JF says. So I'm assuming he's speaking of, well, either your shilling abilities or Nick turning turncoat and going to the other cooler, hipper convention to run that game.
Either way, yes, always.
Yes.
And by the way, speaking of selling out, here is the collaboration with Sakura Central where you can see our characters in action.
Amazing. Oh my goodness.
I love the extra expression that Garayan put on Ramona, where she has like a little sweat drop because she's like, what the fuck is going on here?
Just wait for it to pass. Wait for it to pass.
Meanwhile, on the opposite end, you have like Eric, who's just really into it. Yeah.
Will you be wearing that outfit?
I will not, in fact.
For easy visibility.
However, I will be cosplaying. If my cosplay does come in on time, I do have recently commissioned my friend Muhammad, who is a friend of mine from Indonesia, who does a lot of great custom cosplays under the banner of Kotami Corner. And so I commissioned him to do the civilian clothing for Kamen Rider Black RX, which is a very popular outfit because Kamen Rider Black RX to Southeast Asia is like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers is to us. That's like their generations. Like for a whole 80s, 90s generation, that was their tokusatsu superhero. They love Kamen Rider Black and Black RX. And so I commissioned him to wear for the main character's street clothes, as well as the street clothes for Kamen Rider Zeto, which is at this point my favorite Kamen Rider movie, which is like this leather jacket, black fingerless leather gloves, all that kind of stuff. So if they come in and you see me with a jacket with rolled up sleeves and fingerless gloves, that's me at my table. Check me out. Check out my comics, my novels, my keychains, all of that, and much, much more.
You'll be riding through on your Harley Davidson, down
yes,
with your fingerless gloves.
Yeah. my rider machine.
A tip for anybody though: if you're creating your own character and you intend in your own sick fantasy to cosplay as said character, just give them clothes that you own already. It's like just for ease of use.
I mean, that's what I like about cosplaying as Kamen Rider characters, because that's basically what they wear, is just like modern, trendy, everyday articles of clothing. You'll see them wearing like, maybe it's like specific jackets, but they're jackets nonetheless, so you don't look that weird out in public. In fact, I've legit worn, I have another copy of the Black RX jacket, and I've worn it like multiple times out in public. No one would suspect a thing. It's just an 80s style reversible jacket.
They're socially practical, and you can achieve accuracy with such less of a headache. That's all.
Exactly. For sure. I would say it might be a little difficult to cosplay as Eric, because he's got that giant duster, like Western style duster trench coat.
Just tear up your mom's rug and tell her something. The dog ate it or something.
I will say, I remember Laura was working on a Ramona cosplay, and she got the jacket down really, really well.
Laura is a whiz with that cosplay stuff.
Absolutely, for sure.
Does she make Nyx as well? Because I always think back to the Macho Man type of.
Yeah. They both. She made the outfits for both of them.
Amazing. Yeah.
In fact, let me show you what she made for me this past Christmas.
It's a cute little elf suit, guys. Be prepared for this.
It is a Draco Azul beanie.
Oh my God! I have not seen that. Adorable.
Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Oh, like a glove. Perfect. Yeah, you're between that and the luchador mask and everything.
Oh yeah, she made the luchador mask. Absolutely, yeah.
Just a box of goodies over there you've got in his image.
Absolutely. Couldn't have asked for a better friend.
Well, I'm pretty good too. I can make you robots. I can make a little Draco Azul that will break in the mail on the way. No, Laura's fantastic. She's an amazing person, an amazing artist, writer in her own right, jack of all trades.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jill of all trades. I'm sorry. Is that the gender? Is that the non-gender neutral term that you would use for?
I have no clue, my friend.
A Jill of all trades and a master of them. Yeah.
Let us see here. So the other thing that I've been working on that I've been waiting literally months to share with you guys. Get ready. Are you holding on?
Yeah. Yes.
Holding on to your seats.
Firmly grasp it.
Firmly grasp it. Firmly grasp it. So for the last few months, I have been working on a huge project with none other than Matt Burkett of Monstrosities and our friend Josh Saucedo. And you may remember him from the Tokusatsu Network, a website that produces articles based on Tokusatsu media. And so Josh, Matt, and I were asked to work on the very next Kamen Rider Blu-ray release from Media Blasters. Now, it's already been mentioned that Matt and his team has been producing it, and I can't wait to share all the details with you guys. So yeah, for when it comes to the last couple months, I have been working on the official Blu-ray release for Kamen Rider the First and Kamen Rider the Next, also known as the Kamen Rider Dyad Collection.
Or
Now-
Kamen Rider Uno and Kamen Rider Dos,
Dos.
if you're so inclined.
So these are a pair of movies that were released in 2005 and 2007, respectively. Each movie being a remake, a retelling of the original, modernized retelling of the original Kamen Rider and Kamen Rider V3. And they are the first two Kamen Rider TV shows. They were remade in this style. And honestly, like working on this Blu-ray set has been an absolute joy to work on, because it has allowed me to really dive deep into these movies, learning about why these movies came to be, how they came to be, the sort of various production cycles these movies came into, and learning about a lot of the behind the scenes details of about these movies from the through the research, mountains of research we have gone through. It has allowed me to have a deeper appreciation for these movies. Kamen Rider the Next, especially, more so than I ever had before. And so what exactly I'm contributing here is I did a portion of the commentary for Kamen Rider the First, and I did the whole commentary alongside Matt Burkett for Kamen Rider the Next. So primarily, when it came to the three of us, we split it this way. For Kamen Rider the First, Matt and Josh primarily did the whole commentary, with me doing one piece of it, where I compare Inoue's writing style to the one he is most known for, which is Kamen Rider Faiz. That is the only writer series in which he has written every single episode for, Toshiki Inoue. He's the writer of both these movies, and so I decided for my section I was going to compare and contrast them. So that is how we approached Kamen Rider the First. With Kamen Rider the Next, this time it was Matt and I who were doing the majority of the commentary, whereas we saved a portion of it for Josh to commentate on, specifically about idol culture in Japan, because that plays a big part in this movie's plot.
And Josh is uncomfortably steeped in idol culture.
So when it comes to other things that I've contributed, I'm also the writer of the liner notes for this release. In the previous release that Media Blasters did, which was the Kamen Rider trilogy, a trilogy of movies that contained Shin Kamen Rider Prologue, Kamen Rider Zeto, and Kamen Rider J. For those, that had Matt, that had Mike Dent, and it had Kevin Derendorf. And Kevin did the liner notes, where he wrote an introductory essay about the Kamen Rider franchise for this release. And now for this dyad release, I am the one that wrote the little booklet that's going to be included in the special pre-order edition of this series. So in addition to that, we also did 2 interviews for this release. We interviewed the writer of both movies, Toshiki Inoue, and we interviewed the action director, Makoto Yokoyama. And these are 2 interviews that are exclusive to the dyad set. You can't get them anywhere else. As well as this is so both interviews, as well as my booklet, and as a bonus for people who didn't get the trilogy, the pre-ordered trilogy edition last time, the pre-order edition will also include Kamen Rider World, which was a crossover 3D movie featuring Kamen Rider Zeto and J. And so, yeah, if you get the special edition, which is only available through pre-orders and are limited to 1,000 copies, you will get both of our commentaries, both of our interviews, Kamen Rider World, and the bonus booklet that'll have an essay that I wrote, basically detailing the history of Kamen Rider, Kamen Rider reboots, essentially looking over the many times that this franchise has attempted to return to its roots, or go back to origin, going back to what truly are the core, looking a deep dive into what truly are the core values of Kamen Rider that persist each time they try to go back to basics and explore what it even means for this franchise to go back to basics. So yeah, booklet, 2 commentaries, 2 interviews, and Kamen Rider World.
And a lock of Inoue's hair.
Exactly.
For the special ones out there, you know.
Exactly. And so if you are, if you wish to wait for the standard edition to come out, it'll just include our 2 commentaries, and that's it. The 2 movies and our 2 commentaries. Yeah. So if you want the full package, you got if you're interested in the full package, you got to get the special edition, which is currently available right now. In fact, let me get that link ready for anyone who is interested in the total package.
Oh my lord, that's a loaded statement. Anyways, I wanted to say this for the air, but as I was mentioning to you, I had known about this previously, how fucking amazing and what an incredible opportunity this is for you.
Yeah.
What was the recording process like for you personally, doing your first professional audio commentary where it's not just eating chips and watching goofy Rudolph movies?
Oh yeah, it's certainly a very, very, very different experience compared to we've done commentaries, especially every Halloween and Christmas. We're just you said, we're just laying back,
watching wrestlers and Martian Santa Clauses duke it out. There's no pressure with that, but this is going to be in someone's going to pay for this.
Yes, someone's going to pay for this. Someone's going to pay to listen to my voice as they're watching these movies, which is wild, insane, and extremely exciting. It's exciting to say that I get to be a part of Kamen Rider history in a way.
Yeah.
And you know what? I've idolized people like Steve Reifel, Ed Gajicheski, David Callett, and so on and so forth. So to be able to contribute to a franchise that I love, that's near and dear to me in the same way they did growing up. For me growing up, highly respecting those guys, and now to do the same thing that they did all those years back, it truly is very, very surreal to me. It's truly is like living the dream. And
when you listen to them, you are but the learner. Now you are the master, and you are preserving common history.
Yeah, exactly, man. And honestly, I for these movies, they definitely have a mixed reputation. They're certainly not for everyone, but we tried our damnedest to search up as much information as we could to make these movies interested for fans and non-fans alike, for people to truly appreciate just the amount of work that went into these 2 movies, and to really highlight the people behind these projects. The same people that made these 2 movies were also involved in a lot of more popular Kamen Rider projects around this time. So it's like a lot of hard work and effort were put into these movies. Like any project, a lot of hard work and dedication was put into these movies, and we wanted to sell it just how much it meant to the people who worked on these movies.
Yeah.
And so we hope that people will appreciate the fact that we've unearthed as much information as we possibly could from all sorts of archival resources. We looked at magazines, we've looked at bonus features, we've looked at previous Japanese audio commentaries, we've looked at theatrical pamphlets. We've dug up so much printed material, especially in order to culminate as many notes as we can. At which point we then turned it into a script. We divided the movie up, saying, okay, we're going to talk about this subject for this amount of time. You'll cover this portion. I'm going to cover this portion. It really is very meticulously thought out, as opposed to just winging it, right? Off the spot, off the cuff. We're just making, most of our, casual YouTube commentaries, we're just sort of discussing the movie, also cracking jokes now and then.
Stupid. Bill Tabasco sauce. Yeah.
Pop culture reference here.
Am I right? Remember that, guys? Yeah. But no, I think there certainly is a thing as sometimes over preparation where you can psych yourself out, but especially when you're in the company of, in the virtual company of friends and everything, and it's a franchise that intimately, and you have as much knowledge at your disposal going into it to avoid the dead air and the slow spots.
Oh yeah.
It seems like you guys were fully covered.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. If I could show you the map, just like the how laid out it is, it's like, okay, so for this scene here, we've got, let's say, this fight sequence. This fight sequence lasts 2 minutes. What are we going to talk about during those 2 minutes? Okay, let's talk about the action director for these 2 minutes. Okay, who's going to cover this subject? Me or you? Okay, you. All right, you're in charge of scripting out something that can last these full 2 minutes here.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, let's say there's a really interesting scene going on, and there's so much you can talk about, but you can only prioritize one thing because you have only that amount of time to discuss it. So then it's like, okay, what do we prioritize for this scene, and what can we prioritize for a later scene? So let's say for a later scene, let's say earlier for a previous fight scene, I wanted to talk about the design of the costume, of one costume, because there's a lot of notes about it, but there's no time to. So I wait until another scene that's more relevant. Okay, let's talk about it at this point in the commentary. So it's a lot of it. It's like we have all this information, so much information, so little time. So it's all a matter of dividing it up between each of these sections of portions of the movie.
Now, can I ask, were you doing this with the movie running or sort of piecing it together in post? Like, was there a lot of stopping and starting and retakes to fit into a certain time?
So what we did here is I scripted, so I was in charge of like roughly half of the script, and I scripted it out. And there's actually a tool that I used online that measures how long it takes to read each whatever text you feed it. Again, this is what we talked about like AI algorithms being very helpful.
Yeah.
So granted, it's not generative, but you get the point.
It's an assisted tool. Yes.
Assisted tool. So I put in my script, and I realized, okay, I have a 2 minute, let's say 3 minute. I have a 3 minute window of opportunity. So this script has to fit in this 3 minutes, give or take a couple seconds. So I write it out, I put it in, and I have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. I'm like, okay, I need to write more. All right, let's check it now. 3 minutes and 20 seconds. I'm like, okay, this is too much. How do I reword it? I take out a sentence, I reword a couple things, I put it in, and it gives me 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm like, awesome, all right. And so then I did a test recording, and it was roughly 3 minutes and 5 seconds. I'm like, awesome, okay, it's very accurate. So what I did was I relied on this this website to measure how long it takes to read each portion. And I base each portion based on how much of time I have within the spreadsheet, because Matt produced a spreadsheet. He broke down every single scene. He broke down how much time we have for every single scene. And so I used that as the basis to write each portion of my script.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, for this sequence, I have 2 minutes. For this sequence, I have 30 seconds. For this sequence, I have 1 minute and 45 seconds. And so I'm writing each portion, making sure they fit within each of those sections. And then I just record all of it in one go. And that's where like the physical part of it really like shows up, where it's like, it's a lot of, you're doing a lot of talking, a lot of, mistakes, a lot of outtakes, a lot of just, after a while, your voice starts, your mouth starts to get dry.
Right.
Your mouth produces a lot of what I like to call like ASMR noises, just like a lot of sticky,
all the clicks and clacks and
noise. I hate it. So
see, when in doubt, say as little as possible and say it slowly, and that's
but not for a commentary. You can't afford to do that, Brayton.
Hello, my name is. Okay, your turn.
So Matt and we decided to record it on our own. You know, he records his stuff elsewhere during his time. I'm recording my stuff on my time. So I have, half a commentary to read out. I read it out, and with all the outtakes included, a lot of the false starts, a lot of the, time breaks for me to, take a drink of water. I end up with 2 hours of raw audio. Oof. And from those 2 hours, I edited it down, removed all the pauses, the outtakes, all of that. So I got 2 hours of the deep breaths. and I shortened it down from 2 hours to 50 minutes, which is literally half the movie's runtime. So it was perfect. So
it all
then
worked out.
Yeah, so I sent it over to Matt. Matt had his end of the commentary.
Yeah.
He spliced our audio together, and eventually we finally got it done. And so, he boosted up my audio a little bit to make sure it's on the same level as his.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's essentially how we did our audio, and we had submitted it. Much in the same case as the liner notes. We discussed what exactly was going to be the topic for the liner notes. I proposed the idea of because Kamen Rider the First is a remake of the original Kamen Rider, let's look at the many times that they've tried to sort of redo the original Kamen Rider prior to this movie. Because we've had plenty of Kamen Rider shows that attempted to do a back to origin sort of deal, but this was the first time they ever did a one-to-one sort of deal, where it's like, this is not just a new character like Takashi Hongo, this is a new version of Takashi Hongo and the like.
Yeah.
So it's just comparing how this movie did compared to previous back to origin material, and also at the same time just exploring how the themes of the original 13 episodes of Kamen Rider were carried over from adaptation to adaptation. And yeah, Mr. Spoodersaurus, a proper remake. Yeah, this was the first proper remake, something that we would get within in the future. Like, this is the first time they've ever revisited and revamped the original Kamen Rider, which is something they would do later on with the likes of Kamen Rider Spirits and Hideaki Anno's Shin Kamen Rider in 2023. So you could say, a lot of those newer projects owed a lot to Kamen Rider the First and the Next for being the first ones to do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
But anyways, once we found out what it is that I'm going to write, I wrote a first draft, sent it to Matt and Josh. They said, okay, we need a proper through line, like a sort of a narrative structure, a narrative. Mm-hmm. So I wrote a second draft, sent it to them. They liked that direction. And eventually we ended up, producing a third draft. We got our friend Patrick involved. He was an editor for this, for the liner notes, for this essay. And eventually, once everything looked good, we sent it over to Media Blasters. And yeah, JF, Kamen Rider Spirits was more of a sequel to the original show, but it does, it's revisiting those original characters while also sort of modernizing them for a new audience. That's pretty much the point I was trying to make there. But anyways, yeah. So once we got the commentaries out of the way, the audio, the liner notes out of the way, the other big thing were the interviews. So for the interviews, we managed to get in contact with Toshiki Inoue, who is a writer for a good portion of Kamen Rider throughout the 2000s, and he is a legendary writer whose work goes back to the 80s. In fact, it's kind of funny, during this time where we were working on this project, I was watching an anime called The Red Ranger Becomes an Adventurer in Another World, which, as the title goes, it's about a Red Ranger who becomes an adventurer
in another world. Okay, yeah. Truth in advertising.
It's basically, what if fucking a Power Ranger got whisked away to fucking Middle Earth, and now he's
and
just
goes bird watching.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So during one of the episodes, Toshiki Inoue was a guest writer for this episode while we were working on this project. I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy here. And there's a moment of a funny, like, fourth wall breaking moment where the Red Ranger explains his backstory. He talks about his childhood, how he was bullied in elementary school, and he starts like exaggerating just how crazy his bullies were, to the point where they were crucifying him at a stake. And one character goes, "Wait a minute, I feel like you're making some of this up." And then Ue's voice starts to come out. He speaks through the Red Ranger's mouth, and saying, "Sorry, sometimes I let my pen get away from me."
Oh
What?
my god!
Nothing. And then an anime image of Ue shows up on screen for half a second.
Oh,
that's like
some Chuck Jones, Bob Clampett, Looney Tunes meta shit going on.
Yeah, this is just Ue winking at the audience, like, "Ain't I a stinker?"
Letting his childhood trauma speak through his character. Yeah, that's writing. That's good.
Because he's always known for like writing these deeply tragic characters where like just life continues to just pile more and more shit on them.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, he's mostly known for writing all but one episode of Kamen Rider Agito. He wrote the entirety of Kamen Rider Faiz and has a hand in almost every Kamen Rider from 2000 to 2009. And so we reached out to him, we interviewed him, and Matt, unfortunately I was unable to go to Japan, but Matt did. Matt went to Japan and was able to record an interview with Ue, with our friend Norman England. He was also there. Without Norman, we wouldn't have been able to have gotten in touch with him, and so it was really cool to get in touch with him and just like not so much talk about these two movies in particular, but more just what's it like to work on Kamen Rider in general. So you're going to hear a lot of stuff about that. I do have a photo here that was shared by Media Blasters that was taken from recording. Just going to share it right here. There we go. There we have that happy bunch of fellers right there. Ue, he is there in the center. We have Matt in the back in the black beanie, Norman England wearing the flannel. And to the left is the actor who played Kamen Rider Kaiza in Kamen Rider Faiz. He was not part of the interview. He just happened to have shown up at the bar after they had finished conducting the interview. So it was just like a very wonderful like coincidence that he was there just to be, just part of that experience.
It's a Japanese tale as old as time, Andres. You live there, you know this. Sentai heroes just crop up. they respawn anywhere in that country.
You're not too far off, because from what Norman has told me, a lot of Japanese actors tend to open up their own restaurants and bars in town.
Oh, brilliant.
I believe that's what the main actor from Ultraman Mebius did. I know that he opened up a restaurant. Yeah. And Kamen Rider Black, he purchased a chain of restaurants called Bronco Billy, and so it's a Japanese, it's a American style Japanese chain of steakhouses. And so he's
you gotta have some kind of retirement plan after all the glamour of getting hit with sparks and squibs and explosives has died,
Well, that's the stunt actor, but
okay. Well, after the glamour of raising your beta capsule up and down into the air, well, someone else does all the grunt work. No, that's brilliant. That's very fun.
And speaking of steakhouses. No, speaking of stunt actors, that's what I want to say. Now you got me hungry now, Brayton.
Speaking of steakhouses, I know a fine chain that I'm not being paid to promote it.
Speaking of which, Drake Wazoo is
Drake
brought to you in
burgers.
Brought to you in part by Black Angus.
Yeah.
I like.
We have the meats. We have the meats.
Man, the actor who plays Kaiza, age has been so kind to him because he looks exactly how he did in 2002. As someone who is about to wrap up my viewing of Kamen Rider Faiz, I cannot agree with you more, JF.
So it was like him just stepping out of the show.
Yes.
Perfect, yeah.
In fact, they recently did a Kamen Rider Faiz 20th anniversary movie where they did bring him back as well. They brought everyone back. Speaking of stunt actors, our second interview we conducted was with none other than Makoto Yokoyama, who is shown in this image right here.
This is not a hostage negotiation video, we promise.
There is Matt right there in the blue cap. They recorded in his gym that he trains other stunt actors for a lot of Toei's productions. But yeah, so when it comes to Yokoyama, he is someone who he worked with Keita Amamiya in a lot of his earlier movies. He was the suit actor for Mirai Ninja, which was Amamiya's first movie, a TV movie.
Was he in Melder?
I don't know if he was in Metalder or Hokkaider. I'm not sure, but
or Hokkaider. I'm sorry, I always Mechanical Violator. That's who I'm.
Yeah. I don't know.
Hokkaider.
I don't know if he was in Hokkaider, because I know that during this time he worked for 10 years, almost 10 years, on Power Rangers. In fact, after working in Japan on several independent productions, he and his team were given an opportunity to work on Power Rangers in Los Angeles. So from season 3, which is the season where they got the ninja powers from season 3 all the way to the end of the Saban era, I want to say Wild Force or Time Force. During that period of time, he worked on Power Rangers as a suit actor, as a stunt actor, and eventually a stunt choreographer.
He was Scorpina. I would have never known.
I do know for in fact that when they were filming the crossover between Saban's Masked Rider and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, he was the suit actor for Masked Rider in that for just those 3 crossover episodes. Which you may notice if you ever go back to, if you're a Kamen Rider fan, you'll notice that the suit actor, he does the Black RX Henshin pose, whereas in the actual Saban Masked Rider series, the suit actors never do that pose, because he was not involved, because the every Saban tokusatsu show had its own team separated from the Power Ranger team. So we had different writers, different directors, different stunt people, different suit people, just a completely different team. Each team essentially like competing with one another to be like, the next big thing in on children's television. But yeah, after 11 years on Power Rangers, or 10 or so years on Power Rangers, he went back to Japan, because at that point, Power Rangers production team had moved from Los Angeles to, I believe it was New Zealand. They moved to New Zealand. I believe that it was because it was cheaper to film there, and it has stayed in New Zealand all the way until they eventually ended the show last 2 years ago. So anyways, Makoto Yokoyama, he became an action director. He had worked on the original Garo series. He worked on a few Garo movies, and he was also the action director for Kamen Rider the First and Kamen Rider the Next. And I was a producer on this movie. Basically, I paid for the translation work of this movie. We had our friend Chie, who did the translation work. We had Kaylin Sacido work as the writing out the subtitles based on Chie's translation work, and we had Matt doing his wonderful and incredible job just putting all the footage and music and subtitles work together to produce a wonderful featurette here that we're really proud of. So and also it was just really great to see this footage of Yokoyama. He is a very expressive guy. He talks a lot with his hands. He's very enthusiastic about his career, his work, and he really just gives you a larger appreciation.
Does the poses mid-sentence. Well, that's just
in
what
fact,
he does.
He goes into that. He goes into why the poses are such a big deal in a lot of tokusatsu, because a lot of it is inspired on ancient feudal Japanese generals mixed with kabuki theatrical performances. A lot of it, generals back in the day, they would say, this is who I am, this is the city that I came from, this is the clan that I represent. And once that translated over to kabuki stories, kabuki theater, it became more about entertainment. It became about being more flashy, over the top,
pantomime
theatricalities, and that eventually translated into tokusatsu, where you had individuals, it's like, I am the Red Ranger of the Super Sentai team, so and so Ranger, pose. So it was wonderful to really get an insight into the behind the scenes dealings of the world of tokusatsu, and just understanding the lot of work that goes into it, and just seeing the different directions taken between working on the first and working on the next. So yeah, with Inoue, he talks more about his work on Kamen Rider in general. With Inoue, with Yokoyama, he talks about his career, but also very specifically about these two movies. So yeah, again, we pulled out all the stops to make sure that this set is absolutely worth your money.
Are you sold yet, gentlemen? I think we had a few comments here that someone had already pre-ordered. So you're already this flying off the racks already.
Nice. And you know what? We do know that Media Blasters, they were very happy with the numbers for the Kamen Rider trilogy. And so we're really hoping that Kamen Rider Dyad does well. And speaking of which, Dyad is just a name that Media Blasters came up with to really set it apart, make it sound very unique, as opposed to calling it like the Kamen Rider 2-pack, the Kamen Rider duology.
Yeah.
Hence the name, 2 movies, Dyad, that's how you get the name. So yeah, we're hoping that Dyad does well. Thank you very much, Sean, for your contribution.
That's it. Yeah. And I don't want to pry too hard for obvious reasons, but Media Blasters themselves really smooth working with them. No negative notes of, oh my God, what have you done to our commentary? It was nothing but curse words and defamatory language.
It was all AI generated.
You hack fraud.
As you can see in this movie, this thing happens. This person was played by this actor. You may know him from such movies as
Great Special Effects and Explosions.
Let's see here. JF said Inoue also wrote Symphogear X5 collab for the Symphogear mobile game. It was the last collab they did before it shut down the servers. Cool. Sean says it must feel surreal to be a direct contributor to a franchise you love. Absolutely. It is still to this day wild to say that I got to work on an official Kamen Rider project. And again, like I was saying before, we really hope that Dyad sells very well so that we can hopefully continue to keep doing a lot of this work. John Cerabella, he is the man who runs Media Blasters, and you can check out his YouTube channel for all updates on the release of Dyad. And he did say that he was really impressed, really happy with the numbers. The pre-orders seem to be coming along very well. And he's really hoping to do more Kamen Rider, more Tokusatsu and especially Kamen Rider releases in the near future. He recently came from a meeting from Japan with a meeting with Toei. It looks like, they're working with each other on potentially more releases. So yeah, if this set continues to do well, if we receive good feedback from our contributions, hopefully, we'll be asked back to work on future Kamen Rider and other Tokusatsu Toei releases. But we can't do that without your guys' support. So if any of this interests you, go ahead, pre-order it, and once you get a hold of the Dyad release, please let your voices be known, let your opinions be known on what you think of our contributions. What do you think of the liner notes? What do you think of the commentaries? What do you think of the interviews? The more feedback that Media Blasters receives, the more that we are able to provide many more more contributions, as Sean Barry has said. So yeah, we'll see what happens going forward. But hey, if this turns out to be the only thing we work on, I say we gave it our all, and I'm extremely proud of what we have made, and I can't wait for you guys to check it out.
And then you bring it to the next convention that you appear at, and he'll sign it for you.
Exactly.
Who's that signature from? Well, it's not from any of the actors or the director, but it is from the guy who did a pretty kick-ass commentary track. He wrote the booklet, damn it.
Unlike certain people, I definitely don't want to be that guy who wants to just write my name all over a copy that I had nothing to do with.
Yeah, just draw giant mustaches on the Kamen Riders on the cover. It's good.
So yes, that is the Kamen Rider experience that we did. So yeah, definitely you can go over to Media Blaster's website. You can check it out. Oh, one last thing. When Matt was in Japan, was filming the filming for the interviews, we managed to get a hold of B-roll footage of the actual suits used in the actual battle damage suits used in the second movie, Kamen Rider the Next. And you'll be I'm sharing these images now because Media Blasters has already shared them on social media. So what we have here is the actual suit of Kamen Rider number 2. Let's see, is it showing? Yes, it is showing here. Yes. So yeah, this is the actual suit used within Toei's warehouse of Kamen Rider number 2. Battle damage, rust, which is very relevant to the story. And so, we managed to Matt and his team took a lot of great shots, which you will see within the Inoue commentary as well. And let me see if I can find the other image here of the Kamen Rider number 1 suit. I should have found that. Let's see, where is it?
I'll tell you, those are how my eyes look like post 3 a.m. when...
Let's see, here we go. Let's see, copy and paste. There we go. There is Kamen Rider number 1.
Yeah. They look even creepier battle damaged. I kind of like that look.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really cool just to know that like we had those suits are still around, still in really great condition to this day. And again, we went all out. We tried to get as much as we do as much as we could to make sure that this product is worth your money.
Well, it looks sensational and worth every penny, if you ask me. For someone who knows jack and all about Kamen Rider, I have no doubts that you will provide a full learner's course, a college credit course on all of this. It's incredible. I can't believe that this even happened and that you were approached and you're able to again lend a voice into carrying on the oral history of something you love so dearly. It's
absolutely
it's not to be taken for granted. It's phenomenal.
Oh, for sure. And like I said, we dug up, much like what Matt did with the Kamen Rider trilogy set. We did as much as we could to dig up as much information as possible, information that the Western fan base isn't even aware of. In order
information they were not ready for.
Yes, because you can only get so much out of like the fan wikis and stuff like that. We dug deep into the trenches to find anything we can about these 2 movies, and once the product is out, you guys are free to judge. And again, please let your voices be heard.
Bring this man back for more.
Yes. Let's see here. Mr. Spoodersaurus said, "It's okay, Brayton. I didn't get into Rider until I saw Fies. Probably not the best story." I don't know. As someone who's like 3 episodes away from finishing Fies, I think Fies is a fantastic series all around. Really enjoyed it. Although I would definitely, my recommendation always to get into Kamen Rider is the 50-minute movie Kamen Rider Zedo from 1993. I think it features the best of what Kamen Rider represents in a tight, neat, short little package. It's completely standalone. No need to do any research prior or after. Just a short standalone movie that has everything you'd want out of Kamen Rider pulled off in the most spectacular way possible. And you know what? And hey, you saw Hokkaider. This is made by the same director and his team as Hokkaider.
Oh, well, I'm already sold because that was like, as I mentioned in our discussion of it, that was like the most fantastic stunt show I've ever seen with lore. It was pretty incredible. Yeah.
Now, Brayton, here's the big $1 million question. When can people see that damn conversation of ours?
Well, if you buy the Brayton Connor Blu-ray of all of the projects that have fallen through since age 12, you will. No, I've been really running myself or wearing myself thin, I guess is the expression, with multiple projects I want to take on. However, there are 2 episodes in the can, as they say. I think they say that, right? In the can.
I believe they still say that. Yes.
Previously recorded. It has not been canned, however, of a re-up of fully endorsed episode 40 and 41, where Andres and I talked about Knives Out and Mechanical Violator Hokkaido. There, I got it right. Yes, and I'm going to share some. Again, the audio has been edited forever. I just had to do graphic design work, which I can usually knock out in an afternoon. I have things to show you after we log off.
Okay.
But yeah, that is a thing. A lot of my creative stuff has been just scribbling doodles and stuff for private use. I have been writing a lot, but nothing that you can at present read. A lot of it is scripts for things, hopefully, that I'd love to get off the ground before I croak. And another podcast that I am working on at current, that there are 3 episodes in the can, and then a singular discussion that we recorded like 2 or 3 years ago that will be a bonus episode. Myself, Patrick Galvin, and Raffin Shoma have another podcast that they're helping me with called the Movie Book Club, with any hopes of mine will be on YouTube within the next month. It was going to be out earlier, but to save me some skin with editing and again to work on some more graphic stuff, we kind of pushed it back further into the spring, summer months. And that will be on my channel, which is linked somewhere here. Andres has gone out of the way to put me down in the description into the lower depths.
Oh yes, absolutely. Made sure of that.
Yes, I am still on YouTube. I haven't uploaded since the MST3K project. That is also the ghost looming over my shoulder. But the Movie Book Club will be on my channel, as well as I'm trying to figure out how uploading to Spotify and Apple Podcasts even work. There's a program called Anchor, which I guess is a free to use podcast service that I've just previously downloaded and trying to get my hands or my head wrapped around. But yeah, there are 3 episodes for that, I guess, to tease everybody with. The premise of that, I was never in a book club in school. I don't know about you, Andres. I don't know how they work. No, nowadays
like,
I think
the closest we got was like, did you ever do those AR readings where it's like you got to read books and then take quizzes on those books to earn points, and you got to earn enough points by the end of the semester?
Or they throw you in the pit? No, I never had that.
Wow.
I don't even know if they have, with the state of our world, if they have book clubs anymore. They probably have book burning clubs now with the current administration. But no, the Movie Book Club, the premise of that, very much like how Fully Endorsed is. Each of us brings a movie of our own design to the table with those. And we talk about all 3 movies in a podcast, spending about 20 minutes on each one. So
wait a minute, this is just the premise to Best of the Worst.
That's all. Less drinking, more swearing, believe it or not. So Patrick, Raff, and I will bring a film that has some sort of significant meaning towards us, or we just like to talk about. And the first episode is I can run down some of the films here. The Sea Wolf, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and Patrick's choice of Scattered Clouds. Second episode is The Straight Story, in honor of David Lynch, who passed away previously in this year. Patrick's choice was The Goddess, which is a film starring Ruan Ling Yu, who he recently wrote a giant, big ol' autobiography about, which everybody should buy as well. And what the hell was Raph's choice? Oh, Conspiracy, which was a HBO film about the final solution. Very riveting. It's 12 Angry Men with Nazis. It's intense. And then the third episode, the plan is that every third episode will be a themed episode. So we did revisionist Westerns for the third one, and that was Lonely Are the Brave, My Name is Nobody, and Will Penny with Charlton Heston. in that one. And
that's a reference.
and I was surprised to learn that Charlton Heston, lo and behold, could actually act. He's actually subtle in that film for a change. So yes, that along with the reboot, the slight, would you call what we're doing with Fully Endorsed a reboot? It's a continuation with some new blood.
Call it a revamp.
It's like Blue's Clues when Steve went away, what it is. So it will be titled episode 40. But yes,
does that mean I'll have to wait 20 years for Dylan to come back?
He'll be bald.
And address the audience.
Yes, exactly. He'll flip everybody off and then he'll leave again.
Hey, you guys,
you're waiting for me. What the hell? Don't you have anything better to do?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Live your own lives.
That's it. That'll be his word of.
Or no. He'll say, "Hey guys, I'm back. You disappointed? Good.
Let's move on." Yeah, that'll be his sage word of wisdom for us all. Yeah, but also the bonus episode of the movie book club where we talked about Akira Kurosawa's The Bad Sleep Well, Patrick Raff and I, which is one of his lesser known contemporary set films, not set in feudal Japan, which I feel like the samurai films, notoriously, they've had the biggest splash over here from Kurosawa's work. So talking a little bit more about a modern contemporary corporate thriller, you could call that. Yeah, but a lot of projects that have yet to see the light of day. The Brayton Connor story, and they will be out.
I mean, hey, at least it's not like what was it? Godzilla Odyssey, which was like the fan fiction project Bill and Dylan did that nenever got finished. So then they made a podcast
they talked about it.
just to talk about the podcast they never finished. That also never got finished.
I learned from the best. Okay, leading by example, they're my idols. So, but no, these will actually be out there in the ether, and just I don't really have any pages to announce where all of my stuff will be yet. Any big Facebook or Instagram specific pages, but if you're friends with me on any of those platforms, no doubt I will share those. And if you're subscribed to this wonderful gentleman, you will see when Fully Endorsed finally again breaks the airwaves, and we ramble a lot. We if you're missing that, you'll get plenty.
If you
of
like that sort of thing.
If you like to hear strangers on the internet, provide some garbled white noise for you when you're at work or in the car. Where do you think people listen to us at? Anybody in the audience, if you're in a place that isn't your bedroom and your pajamas right now, tell us. I listened to you guys on the plane once. I was on an aeroplane.
I can see that. I listened to podcasts on the plane before.
That's right. That's because I like to tune out the
on the plane. I've listened on the train. I've listened in a house. I've listened with a mouse. I've listened to them here or there. I can listen to them anywhere.
And we are the two biggest hams that you could ever want with your green eggs.
Ham I am.
We're gonna have that on your tombstone.
Ham I am.
Ham I was would be. Yeah. Well, my gosh, I don't know what else there is to. If anybody has any, last minute questions or anything for us.
Yeah, because we've been doing this for 2 hours now, so I think it's about time to almost wrap it up. Let's open it up to questions. If you guys have a question in the comments, please mark it in all caps, question, if you please. Let's see. Looking at Sean Berry's comments here while we wait for questions. For context, Andres, The Bad Sleep Well is a modern-day film noir, loose adaptation of Hamlet.
Yes.
Sounds very interesting.
Yeah, I would say, the gimmick behind that was those are the kind of the Kurosawa films that I go for. I love High and Low, which is being remade by Spike Lee, or I think it's already been made and premiered. And
I thought it was already remade on YouTube.
Oh, let's not go there. Let's not walk that tightrope. But no. So, High and Low, produced as a Spike Lee joint because he had such success with Old Boy. I will see it as a curiosity. But yeah, it's sort of in that vein. I think for my money too, Kurosawa made the best Shakespeare loose adaptations. Ron being King Lear basically, and Throne of Blood is the best version of Macbeth I've ever seen. So another little sort of oddball from the less spoken Kurosawa films will be thrown at you for a bonus episode. Yeah. Sean, I love the Criterion shirt, by the way. I have not seen that photo, but thank you for repping for the
let's see here. We have Spoodersaurus saying, remember Colossal Kaiju Combat?
Oh, I don't want to get angry comments from the from a certain strange man about that.
Oh, that's some deep kaiju. That's at this point in time, this is deep kaiju noir lore. So
because he'll want to come on a live stream and tell his side of the story, and we don't want to.
So for reference, so back in the day, 2015, which is 10 fucking years ago now, which is crazy to think.
Yeah.
My friend Denny Roth and I had made a podcast where we just aired our grievances over the shit show that was Colossal Kaiju Combat, a crowdfunded video game from 2012 that never saw the light of day because the guy in charge is a complete incompetent buffoon who thought that he can get his people to work on the game for free, which is a detail that still, even though there are plenty of videos out there about what happened to Kaiju Combat, pretty much what happened was the guy had a very limited budget, and he tried to stretch that budget out more than was possible by having his team work for free. Once that team was no longer available due to the death of their environmental art designer artist, once he was unavailable, everyone else was unavailable. And because he had already spent all the money on stupid shit like trading cards and figurines instead of actually in the actual
putting
game.
The cart before the horse, some might say. Yeah.
That's why the game fell apart. It wasn't because of this character was included or that character was included or this person was involved or that person was involved. It was simply a horrifically mismanaged budget, as well as a person trying to make a game with a scope of 300. No, what was it? What was the quote? He tried to make a $300,000 budget game with a budget of $100,000, primarily by having people he knew from Pipeworks work on it for free. And when those people were unavailable, he was shit out of luck. So yeah, and if he's still lurking around in the fandom here or there, but don't listen to the guy. He's a complete and total snake oil salesman. And because I said that, he's going to be coming back in the comments like he did 10 years ago. And it didn't work 10 years ago. It's not going to work today, Strange.
Oh, God. And take your infinity stones elsewhere.
To answer this other question, do you mean Godzilla Galactic Odyssey? No, this is an old fan fiction project from probably 10 years ago at this point, about Godzilla traveling to the different multiverse, having crossovers with different properties, including Marvel, which is wild because now that's an official fucking thing. So at this point, it feels like most of that Godzilla Odyssey is now, I hate to say, kind of irrelevant only because it's now becoming a thing slowly. Once they eventually do that Gamera crossover and Ultraman crossover and Doctor Who crossover, then Godzilla Odyssey will become completely irrelevant. But it was a wonderful time. The era that it thrived in, it was a wonderful piece of fiction. And it's part of me wishes to see Bill and Dylan come back just to wrap it up. Anyways, back to the actual questions at hand.
Someone though, shoot John LeMay an email about doing a book about colossal kaiju fan film shit show fan projects that never panned out.
Yeah, he made a book called Kong Unmade. He can make a book called Godzilla Unmade.
Yeah.
Let's see. JF asks, have you read or seen Rumiko Takahashi's work? So she is a prolific manga artist, potentially the most prolific female manga artist, I want to say, though I could be wrong. She's primarily known for like Urusei Yatsura, Inuyasha, and Ranma 1/2. Unfortunately, I have not seen any of those. I've never had the opportunity to. I know Inuyasha was around on Toonami back in the day. I just never had the time for that series. But I do know my friend Davis, Titan Goji, he is a huge Takahashi fan. So he's the person you can absolutely talk to about her. And I believe he has made multiple videos about Urusei Yatsura. So he is definitely like the go-to. like person I would reference for that subject matter. Let's see here. Spoodersaurus says, "Are you guys ready for Godzilla Supernova?" No.
Only if I can have a champagne supernova before I see it and be well, capped and sloshed off my ass before I do. I think we did a lot of legendary
Bashing.
films disappointment sessions with our last audio synchronicity thing that we did.
I think so, yeah. But I believe Spoodersaurus might be a new viewer, so I guess to catch you up to date. We're not exactly like super fans of what the MonsterVerse has turned into, where it's just big, dumb, turn your brain off action stuff. Which there's
Kong flies now, and nothing makes sense anymore.
They fly. He flies now. We're not saying that stuff is bad per se. If you like it, that's awesome. More power to you. It's just something that I've grown tired of personally, just because it feels like every action movie these days is of that same similar nature. Every movie these days is just a turn your brain off movie, and all of them kind of just sort of blend together. And it's just something I feel like after King of the Monsters came and went, 2019, I was like, you know what? I think I've had my fill. At this point, I'm only watching these movies out of obligation. I saw Godzilla vs. Kong. Part of me was somewhat entertained when Big Monkey fought the Big Lizard, but for the most part,
it was just like the banner. It's just like the banner promise.
It made due on its promises,
yes.
Which it didn't promise a whole lot, but what it promised was monkey versus lizard action, and we got what we were told.
I imagine the next one will answer if 100 lizards could defeat one monkey, though. In the they'll have to hop on that.
It's going to start. I bet you the movie's going to start off with a prologue sequence of was it Hollow Earth, 6,500,000 million bajillion years BC, and it's 1 Giga Chad Super Monkey Kong versus 1,000 Godzillers, and it's big Giga Chad Kong versus 100,000 Zillers, and he's beating them all into a bloody pulp, and then 60 gajillion years later.
Well, that franchise is just such a giant shitpost now. That's all when you and I watched Kong and Godzilla for the first time, I think my comment after it ended was, I bet you they're just gonna have a giant Harambe RIP thing or a troll face at the end. But that's look, it all comes down to personal taste. I'm not for anybody who enjoys it, keep enjoying it, and I support you. But there's a big trend with it of I don't think people would be turning such a blind eye if it weren't for the franchise loyalty. And fandom, fanatic franchise gatekeeping and loyalty really turns me off nowadays. So it's just not the kind of movie that I want to occupy my time with anymore. And I've seen all I needed to see. I've had my fill.
I think for me, part of me is just morbidly curious just to see how much stupider it can get. And I've explained this out within my own review for Godzilla X Kong, where for people who say, "Oh, it's just like the Showa era," that's a hard disagree for me. I do not see the Showa era when I see the modern day MonsterVerse. I just see Jurassic World. I see Fast and Furious. I see MCU, DC, EU. I just see every single blockbuster formula in these movies. Granted, I would say probably it's better than a lot of the slop that comes out of Hollywood these days.
But it's all out of the same machine. It's all out of the same, McDonald's chicken goop oozing machine.
And again, not to say that McDonald's is bad. I enjoy myself a double cheeseburger every.
It's affordable. Often. It's mainstream. It's in convenient distance for most households. But I think that is like the biggest defense I hear, and I do think it's almost. I understand where people are at least attempting to come from, but it's like a backhanded disservice to the Showa films, I think, in saying, well, those were just big and stupid too.
I feel like those movies were made at a time where these people made the best movie they can possibly make with what little resources they had available to them. And here it's like, is this the best you can do? I don't think so.
No. But
especially with the infinite amount of resources,
Right.
infinitely more resources at their disposal that they have in Hollywood.
Yeah, I think it's just sort of a cheap, sort of offhanded, like a lack of historical context, number one, and just you can spot every inch of those films had so much blood, sweat, and physical craft that went into making them that even me, who I'm not the biggest kaiju, fan anymore, I can enjoy the meticulous effort that went into every single detail of all of those sets, the music, the spectacle of those films that were all handmade instead of just a giant World of Warcraft Fortnite map with your favorite monster IP in it. And look, he shoots bigger lasers than last time. So I think we answered the question.
He shoots the same laser, but it's pink this time.
You like pink? You liked Barbie? Yeah.
We saw you at Barbenheimer's.
Do you think they'll ever go green with the laser again?
They did.
I know the animated series.
No.
No?
They did a special for Southeast Asia.
Okay.
I don't know what exactly they were promoting, but they introduced a brand new Godzilla design that was essentially the -1 design with Millennium spikes and green atomic breath showing up at different cities within Southeast Asia. Yeah. It was sort of like, on the surface, it's like Toho saying, we thank you, Southeast Asian fans, for keeping Godzilla alive all these years. And here I'm thinking to myself, this is probably a promotion for something like exclusive to this demographic, this market. But what though? Is it a collaboration with some Southeast Asian tourist company? Are they announcing a Godzilla store somewhere in Southeast Asia? Is there going to be a theme park attraction exclusive to Southeast Asia? It's like, what is it?
Or is it a colossal kaiju-sized mystery box that goes nowhere? But
it's what exactly is it? Because all it is a thank you sign. It's basically one big tribute to the fans. But I'm like, Toho's not going to do this without making some kind of money off of it. So
yeah. I think to put a positive spin on something, though, I think it's safe to say that we are looking forward to at least what Yamazaki has cooking up in the future. Him saying that there is going to be another film, whether it's a direct sequel. I mean, I don't know.
I think it was announced that it is going to be a sequel.
It's a direct sequel? Okay. Yeah. Well, I am looking forward to that, and not for the sake of being, I only want dark, gritty Godzilla. I look at that film and I look at the MonsterVerse films, and there's a very evident, disparate, different levels of love and attention to detail and priorities that went into the storytelling of those movies. You can do for modern kaiju going forward, you can do an amazing cheeseball, turn your brain off, wonderful colossal battle kaiju film with the same level of care that he showed to that particular story. They're not, polar opposite chains of the thing. Just put care into your stories, is I think. Yeah. Tell a good story, Okay.
All right, so to finally move on,
yes,
are you ready for Supernova? No, I don't care.
Temper tantrum over.
See it.
Yes, okay.
Let's see here. If more opportunities arise, are there any other franchises you'd love to contribute in some form? Yes, I would love to do something with Super Sentai and Ultraman. I know at the moment Super Sentai is being done with well, I think at this point, Shout Factory has stopped the Super Sentai releases, so I don't know what's happening there. And I know Mill Creek is still doing stuff with Ultraman, but they're not doing like original special features like Media Blasters is. So, if anything, I'd love to see what other Toei, because we do have a working relationship with Toei, I would love to work on something Toei or Toei adjacent, but I think most likely because Kate Amamiya, a lot of his work has been released through Media Blasters. I have Zeram on Blu-ray, Zeram 2, Hakaider. I would love to work on Garo. I think Garo is like the greatest thing to have ever come out of Tokusatsu for adults. I would absolutely love it if I know Media Blasters loves Amamiya. I believe they're going to be working with bringing Amamiya over for a anime convention in New Jersey this year. I would love it if we can do something with Amamiya, especially if it's Garo.
You've been championing Garo for as long as I can remember. Join the cult of Garo.
Join the cult of Garo. Join the cult of Amamiya.
That's
It's the greatest. It's the greatest thing ever. It's far worth your time. I'd rather watch a million more Garos than MonsterVerse at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to do that. Let's see here. Have you read the Power Rangers? Oh no. Well, I guess that was more for me, right? Question: if you read Power Rangers X Godzilla crossover comics, I read I own the first one. Heavily enjoyed it. Way better than I thought it was going to be. I haven't heard good things about the second one. I'll probably read it online, and if I like it, I'll buy it. But I haven't heard too many good things about it. That it's very rushed. It has introduced a lot of ideas, but they're very half-baked, and just stuff happens for no reason before it moves on to the next thing.
Who published that? IDW?
It was a collaboration between IDW and Boom.
Okay.
Boom does the Power Ranger stuff.
And Boom goes to Power Rangers.
Yeah.
There's a lot of exploding and kicking and flipping.
Yeah. And yes, Bootersaurus, Giga Bash essentially became the game that Kaiju Combat promised it would be. It was a game that had a bunch of original monsters and eventually brought in DLC from other franchises.
Oh.
Let's see here.
Well, wait, so Simon Strange hasn't divvied up with the lawyers yet to go after.
But he spent all the money on cards and figurines. Remember?
Of course. Yes.
I asked Fortnite Vader if it heard of Draco Zol. It thinks it fought the Zillo Beast in Clone Wars 2008. That's amazing. If anyone can make fan art of that, I would love it.
Oh man.
Yeah, Giga Bash. Let's see here. Question. Since you have seen Kamen Rider Fies, have you seen Ryuki? Yes, I absolutely love Ryuki, and I love the subtle ways that it homages the original Kamen Rider manga by Ishinomori, taking the 13 Kamen Rider arc and making it the entire series. It's basically Battle Royale with Kamen Riders. And you got it's a lot of various degrees of morality. There are characters that are straight up evil, characters that are good, that want to prevent people from killing each other, and there are people in the middle who have various degrees of gray, a lot of like gray. There's all, like I said, it's everyone's got their own motivations, some more sympathetic than others, and it's a very complex, emotionally deep and enriching experience to watch these stories. Meanwhile, it's got a lot of great action, and I love how they play with the idea of this mirror world where all these mirror monsters exist. And yeah, overall, very fun, very imaginative, wonderful story. Highly recommend it. How long till Godzilla and Goku actually fight at this point?
Have they not done a crossover with that yet? How have they not?
Surprisingly not. Unfortunately, Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, is no longer with us.
Yeah.
So if the ball is in Toei's court if they ever want to do that. But I know Toriyama was a Godzilla fan. He peppered kaiju references throughout his work. Baby Gamera, there's literally a baby turtle named Baby Gamera that appears early in Dragon Ball's history. And the last movie that he worked on, there's a villain who does an homage to Shin Godzilla's purple beams shooting everywhere. But yeah, Toriyama, big Godzilla fan, big Tokusatsu fan, lots of references in his work. I'm sure if a Godzilla crossover were to happen, I'm sure it would definitely be in the spirit of that.
There's probably been a Screw Attack fan battle crossover there out there. Go YouTube it. There's animations up the wazoo.
I do know Larry Quatch made a wonderful fan art of Goku versus Godzilla in the Toriyama style, and he perfectly translated Godzilla in that style.
Excellent.
And sorry, my apologies. It's Ranma half. I've always heard everyone say 1/2, but I'm not a fan. Just because I never read it, so I would not have a good source of reference. Let's see. Question. Well, I guess if you're not you're not really for Jurassic World Rebirth. I skipped out. At this point, this Jurassic Park Jurassic World franchise is dead to me since the second one.
Yeah, was that the last one you saw? The Dino auction,
the Dr. Wu and his House of
Horrors. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I gave up on that movie. I heard nothing but bad things about the third movie. It's not even about the dinosaurs anymore. And I saw this. I saw the trailer for Rebirth. I'm like, wow, you just made the last movie entirely fucking pointless now.
Yeah.
We got to save the dinosaurs before they die out. They deserve to live in this world. Oh, all the dinosaurs died out, and now they're just back to living on an island again. And yeah, I do not like. I hate the Distortus Rex. It's the ugliest, most generic piece of crap I've ever seen.
My God. I know, since you have kind of been championing the idea of putting actual feathers on the fucking dinosaurs for quite a while. Have you seen the fan edits of the like, they're very quick, but of the Velociraptors from the original movie?
Oh yeah. That is like, on a technical level, it's really impressive what they've done. Yeah. And I've always championed the idea of updating the designs, only because the idea of the original Jurassic Park was to modernize people's perceptions of dinosaurs for the modern era. You know, prior to Jurassic Park, people still envisioned dinosaurs as slow, lumbering, dim-witted animals, and Jurassic Park really changed them. Like, they made raptors as popular as they were. Like, raptors were never really popular prior to Jurassic Park, and now you see them everywhere as a staple of dino pop culture.
Brought in actual experts. You know, I think with the raptors, one of the early things, they were going to have their tongues flick, and it's like the guy saw that. Well, that's got to go. That ain't right. Just to make them less reptilian.
Right. Because they even in the first movie, they were championing the idea of birds being very related, highly related to dinosaurs. Granted, that they took a lot of liberties, even for its day. You know, they took the Deinonychus and slapped the Velociraptor label on it, because in the book at the time they thought that they were the same species, and within the movie, Spielberg just thought Velociraptor was a cooler name, which it was. They took the cooler raptor and gave it the cooler name. But so yeah, despite, you know, playing fast and loose with certain elements, especially the Dilophosaurus, again, the idea was to, you know, move forward, to progress and update what is a dinosaur for that moment in time. Now it's been 25 years. Paleontology has changed tremendously since then. And it would be nice if the movies, especially since they keep introducing new dinosaurs and new members of the classic JP species, it would be nice if they made them more accurate. And I know there's an in-universe explanation for why they don't look accurate, but still, the point of it's not so much in-universe, but it's just from the filmmaking point of view, it would be nice for them to, you know, to update the perception of dinosaurs once again for the modern era. And Jurassic World at this point is 10 years old, if you can believe that. And I feel like for every step they take forward, they take like 3 steps back in terms of like the sheer stupidity of these movies.
And just bring back Jeff Goldblum at age 109, Andres. That's all the fandom wants.
Yep.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question: Brayton, can we expect the big Robert Mitchum villains crossover?
Yes, but for what? Just I mean, I can't resurrect the man for you, Sean. Can we expect the big Robert? Oh, man. What? Tell me what you're talking about specifically, because you want me to draw you Robert Mitchum? What do you want? What do you want from me?
Who sent you?
Because I think Sean had mentioned something. I showed him, like, I'm doing this just for friends on Facebook, like a dumb little pencil draw share thing of forgotten rogues, who are some of my favorite villains from older movies and stuff. And I mentioned to Sean that I couldn't decide whether to do him from Night of the Hunter or as Max Cady from Cape Fear. And then I think Sean suggested, well, why don't you just draw them both out together on a movie date or something? I don't know. But no, sure. Clarify it.
And to respond to Mr. Spoodersaurus, there's nothing wrong with pink. It's just, hey, it's the same action again, but in a different color. That's the point I was trying to make.
I like pink. I have pink clothing.
It's a nice color. I especially like neon pink.
Yeah, I don't like lime green though. I will say that. I don't know. Lime green with pink, I see that's a very popular combination, and to me it screams a little too much.
Do you want spoilers for live action Lilo and Stitch, the movie? I've heard the spoilers. I hate every single bit of it. I have no interest in watching that movie.
The second they didn't cast me as Pleakley is when they lost all credibility.
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry to say this, Brayton. Pinkley does not wear a dress in this movie.
Bullshit. This isn't Zach Galifianakis is Pleakley, right?
No. He's Gantu with no accent, and Gantu's the main villain.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
By the way, apparently, like the actor who plays Pleakley, he was asked why isn't Pleakley going to be? Oh, here's the thing: Zach Galifianakis, or however you pronounce his name, and the other guy, like to save costs on CGI, like they just have human disguises instead of actually being aliens wearing random clothes in amongst the humans.
You know, I understand that from a practical standpoint because there's the big bit in Lilo and Stitch where everybody buys for, you know, comedic effect that Stitch is Lilo's dog or whatever. And obviously in live action, when interacting with live action people, your suspension of disbelief or your verisimilitude with that sort of dips a little bit where he's not a fucking dog. You can see he's not. So I could understand. I still think it would be funny though that they're comedic characters, having them walk around amongst live action people trying to blend in. But when they're just human disguises, then is it Zach Galifianakis or whoever playing Pleakley in the flesh then as the character?
I believe so, yeah. But yeah, apparently the actor for Pleakley was asked why isn't Pleakley wearing a dress, and he showed up concept art of the character in a dress. He's like, believe me, I tried. I'm sorry.
It's no fun. There's no fun. But no, I saw the trailer
0 out of 10.
And I do have not a deep connection like on some philosophical level, but I love that movie.
Me too. And I saw it in theaters.
Yeah, I have lesser of a connection with some of the other live action stuff that has gotten remade, so I didn't really feel the pain with some of those. But seeing it done in such a very cheaply filmed way, you know, where this looks like a straight to streaming type of film experience. It's not, it depressed me a little bit. And no, I have no interest either.
Yeah. Let's see here. A question, Brayton. I know you hate Shin Godzilla, which is fine. But I'm curious about your take on -1.
Oh, I thought it was absolutely exceptional. And at this point, you know, since it's kind of like one of those things where I was so against Shin Godzilla at the time, but so much worse has come along since then within the MonsterVerse. It's like at this point, I have resolved to the fact with my bone of contention with Shin Godzilla is just a different thing that I want out of a movie. People who like those more docudramas type of films that don't very light on characters and are just very situational. And I like some movies like that. I love A Night to Remember, which is the best Titanic movie for my money. But that's a real story, and this is a fictional story. And for a fictional story to really sell me, I need to be engaged on some kind of emotional human level. And I was fully invested in every one of those characters. Still, for my money, the cutest little kid I've seen in a movie forever. Yeah. That when she starts crying, my heart's oh my god. But no, absolutely, you know, breathtaking effects, a fully formed and framed story. And those things matter because it's the stereotype at this point, what we've all been saying forever, because when Godzilla does show up, then it's viscerally terrifying, you know, the chaos that he causes when you're fully invested into what's happening in these people's lives and into this guy as your hero and his relationship with this woman. So it touched me on a human level, just on a basic storytelling perspective. And it was magnificent. Spectacle to behold with the limited budgets and resources they had for the effects. Excellently filmed and staged from top to bottom. It was a real throwback to a forgotten age of blockbuster, you know, really hits you. You get your adrenaline pumping cinema. So I loved it. Yeah. Rocked my world, rocked my socks off even.
Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Yes, I am aware Garo did have a Blu-ray release in America, but we can always the America can always use more Garo. Question:
Make Garo great again.
Make Garo great.
Make America Garo again.
Let's see. Question: Andres, any thoughts on Gundam G-Quux? I haven't seen it yet, but I heard great things about it. Yes, I've been watching it with my roommates every week. I think I've really enjoyed it. I think it's really interesting that they, for the first time ever, they made an alternate universe Gundam series where it's a what if scenario of the original Gundam show from 1979, where it's like, what if the bad guys had won the war, and where do we go from there? Which is G-Quux. I really enjoyed it. I think the characters look really cool. The animation is stellar. The story is very intriguing. There's a lot of moving parts around. And I think it's a huge step up from Gundam Witch from Mercury. I know a lot that show has its fans. But for me, looking back on G Witch, I enjoyed it while it was out. But looking back on it as a whole, it doesn't feel like the story is progressing forward. It feels like a lot of build up to a very rushed climax. Whereas with Gundam G-Quux, I believe, the season's only going to have 12 or so episodes. We're already on like episode 5 or 6, and it feels like a lot has already been accomplished, that the characters are moving in a direction that leaves me with questions as to how this is going to turn out. Which I always enjoy a story where I'm like, I literally don't know what's going to happen next.
Yep.
And whereas with G-Witch, it was always like, oh, here's another school duel between rival high school students that don't amount to anything. And we know that the main character is going to win. And, oh, what's this stuff happening in the background? Oh, it doesn't get resolved. Okay. Again, whereas with G-Quux, a lot of moving parts, a lot of, personal and political stuff going on in the background. But yeah, highly recommended, at least so far.
That's a wild spelling of G-Quux, so that's like 5 U's. Is that as many U's as
Yes.
there are S's in Gridman? Jeez.
Yes, always. Let's see here. Question, Andres, I know you're not a big fan of the... Why do you keep saying that, Sean? I don't hate Nosferatu. I just think
look at that face and tell him you hate him. That's only
look at it. Look at it. I want you all to look at it. He's my favorite SpongeBob character.
That's right. He has appeared since, right? In this new zombified SpongeBob era we're living in.
Yeah, where the fans who grew up with the OG SpongeBob are now writing the new SpongeBob episodes.
Oh my god. Okay. Yeah.
I do not hate the original Nosferatu. I respect the hell out of it. I just think that due to the time that it was made, the pacing feels a little slow.
Yeah. I mean, it's a giant mood piece, really.
Yes.
And it's like I was talking with our friend Ace Maroc about The Shining not too long ago, and he likes the movie but is not as thrilled with it as I am. And a lot of the movie, I can see how it rubs people as very cold in the wrong way. But for that film, for me, from start to finish, it's scary because it's such a creepy atmosphere that it creates, and it feels so otherworldly. I think the same thing applies with me personally in Nosferatu. It's so expressionistic, and it's something you put on the TV and cover up with late at night with the lights out, and you have nightmares later. But
Yes.
And he flickers those lights.
Yeah, but I've heard about good things about the remake.
Oh yeah, I love the remake. You will have an opinion on the accent, though. I presume you've heard the impression at least, because
No, I have not. I haven't heard or seen anything about this movie.
Bill Skarsgård, he makes such a choice with how Counterlock speaks. It's wild. But yeah, let me know after you see that. I'm curious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Some people will tell you Ryuki is one of the worst writer shows ever. Those are people. I feel like those are the kind of people who prefer Kamen Rider to be more upbeat, more positive, more like superhero role model-ish. Like, I feel like, so like the original Kamen Rider was very dark, very, depressing at points. Not so much depressing, but very dark, gritty. A lot of, morality issues there. A lot of it focused on the that's the thing, tragedy. A sneak peek, like I feel like the biggest what was it, like Kamen Rider when it started was definitely a lot darker than it would eventually become once they switched over from Rider number 1 to Rider number 2, at which point it became more lighthearted, became more action oriented, more flashier, more upbeat. And for some people, that's their Kamen Rider. They don't want their Kamen Rider to be darker, more darker and tragic and all that stuff. They prefer more upbeat, flashy. They essentially want Power Rangers out of Kamen Rider. And for those who want that, let them have that. But for me, I feel like I always prefer like the roots of Kamen Rider, which was built on horror, tragedy, the concept of good born from evil. Just like the idea of paralleling the characters and the heroes and the villains as being two sides of the same coin. All of that stuff is what makes Kamen Rider interesting for me, and I feel like Ryuki absolutely embodies all of that stuff. And so, like I said, for people who don't like Ryuki, I can totally understand. It's not their thing. A lot of them don't like it when Kamen Riders fight each other. For me personally, given that writer on writer action has been something that's been around since the days of the Shocker Riders from the original manga and TV series, it's like, it just feels like a natural, it's naturally, you cannot say it's not Kamen Rider because it is intrinsically tied to how Kamen Rider started and how Kamen Rider has persisted through these decades.
My question is, Kamen Rider a robot?
Now, for those who don't know, that is a callback to a thing Bill once asked about Ultraman.
but the answer here
is kind of
okay.
He's a cyborg.
Yeah,
he's a cyborg.
They're in the family. They're
technically he's robot adjacent. How about that?
That's right. Robot adjacent also sounds like a Sentai show in its own way.
Let's see. Where is it? Next question here. Question, Brayton, have you ever considered doing have you ever considered doing written works on movies, whether it be at reviews, essay, analysis, etc., especially for genres you love like classic film noir and spaghetti westerns?
Yes, I have a ton of archived audio of myself on various live watches and live streams talking about movies that I love, that I will hopefully repurpose very soon onto my channel to sort of build up steam with the movie book clubs, having my own thoughts out there in the ether. Something I may consider, not with the same level of attention to detail that you fine folks did because you were being paid to do it, but I will try my hand at doing commentaries on certain things. I think would be a fun avenue for me to take on my channel. I haven't posted since when was our Jiger episode? 2019. So my channel is sitting there dormant. I need, with the way that the algorithm, as I understand it, likes people to churn things out, I need to do something about that and course correct all of that. So yes, Sean, I have thought of it, and hopefully that will be appearing soon. I've written some things again on Facebook about movies, putting a little thought into them that transporting that into video form wouldn't be such a bad thing. Yeah, I just hate the sound of my own voice. That's a lot of the problem, is because I have to go back and edit what I say, and then I'm like,
how do you think I felt listening
cut as
to
much
2 hours
out as
of
possible?
myself?
Oh, that is hell to me. I can't believe it. Yeah.
Let's see here. Question: did you know someone in India got married dressed as Ultraman Taro? I did see that. Pretty wild. Great outfit. I can only imagine.
Of course, it was the groom.
Yes, it was. I can only imagine what the I hope everyone was in on it. I hope everyone equally appreciated it. That's all I can hope for.
Oh boy, I think one side of the family was hanging their heads.
Let's see. How do you feel about My Hero Academia now that the manga has ended? I really fell far behind on My Hero Academia since I left Japan. I think I've watched up to the end of season 2, and I know generally how the manga ends. And I thought it ended very fittingly for the characters. And but yeah, having not read it or even seen I'm not even sure if the anime finished. Probably so. Maybe not. But I'd love to get back into it and see how it gets to that point.
Well, I will say, to actually jump in on one of these anime bars, that yes, my fella and I have watched the first season of My Hero Academia up to the point this was a while ago, so I vaguely remember things. All Might, I think, is an absolute stud. Number one,
I love All Might, and
I remember that where I left off was like a giant battle between the students with all the quirks, right? Is what they're called, not superheroes. They're battling the villains in like a giant dome type of thing. That's where I left off. And the teacher's like a mouse or a marmoset or something.
Yes,
or a
he's the principal.
the principal, yeah, who was no help at all.
No.
Yeah, but no, I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was very fun and quirky, and actually up my alley. So there's something that I at least have a opinion on. Seems fun. Didn't even I think I knew that it was from a manga, but obviously I haven't read that, so I don't know how. Is it faithful to the original?
As far as I'm aware of, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. This is so stupid. I know that fans got upset.
You're gonna go to your wedding dressed as oh my, with
Never
remorse.
fear, because I am here.
Or will you be his like shriveled like crack, because he has two forms, like he's
Yes.
got his crackhead looking forward, like yeah man.
Like I'm gonna retire from Draco Azul. I'll point my. This is spoilers for season I think 2 or 3. I've finished Draco Azul. I point at you, the audience, and I say, "Now it's your turn."
Passing the buck. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I remember also vaguely there's a guy who inside of a sleeping bag that was
Yes,
very
the ninja guy.
That's right. Yeah, I empathized with him a great deal.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's see here. Question: have you read the Toku Yuri manga Super Women Love? No, I have not. I've never heard of that.
Okay, so that earlier question about what future franchise you'd like to contribute to, Andres would like to contribute to Super Women Love. Thank you.
I mean, hey, if we're talking Japanese superheroes for real now, I would love to do something with Lady Battle Cop. I feel like Lady Battle Cop is a wonderful movie. It's a movie from 1990. It was a direct-to-video movie. It is pretty much stylistically a RoboCop knockoff, but it's so much more than that. It does so much unique stuff that you can only get from out of Japan's tokusatsu, late 80s, early 90s style at the time.
Well, Lady Battle Cop is also what I call Frances McDormand's character from Fargo, and now I want to see Frances McDormand as a female RoboCop. I will greenlight that gender bend reboot.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Queons. That's a lot of vowels.
It's a Canadian spelling of the word.
Any movies you want to see, eh?
There you go. The only movie I'm looking forward to is they're 28 years later, yeah. Looks like the great version.
Great movie from the Day of the Derivs.
Yeah,
replace killer plants and blind people with zombies, eh? Let's see here. I'm looking up movies from coming out this year. Let's see. 2025 movies. Let's see.
There are 12 Avatar sequels set for this year. My God.
Funny enough, there is an Avatar 3 this year.
Jesus.
I keep forgetting Superman's coming out.
Oh, yeah, the first, I guess not the first, the second James Gunn. The second movie under his regime, right?
What's the first movie?
The Suicide Squad.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah,
was
that is DC. That's DC. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is carrying over. Yeah. I'm curious about it only because I'm like, how are they going to improve over Zack Snyder's Superman? I'm curious. Fantastic Four. I'm burned out on Marvel at this point. Like, if this was like maybe pre Endgame, I would have been excited for a new Fantastic Four. At this point, I'm marveled out at this point. I'm burnt out on Marvel.
Yeah. Like Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
I'm flamed out.
Let's see. Honestly, that is the only thing. I could be wrong, but that's the only thing that comes to mind and the only thing I'm looking at here. Yeah, just nothing else is capturing my interest.
I don't really know what's slated for this year, other than Edgar Wright is doing another adaptation of The Running Man, the Stephen King book, and he's doing it like the book, which is very ultra serious, a lot of great social and commentary. The Running Man, for people who don't know, is essentially like a proto Battle Royale or Hunger Games type of story. There was a film in the 80s with Arnold Schwarzenegger that I loved to death, but it's kind of insane to me that Edgar Wright is doing a serious version, because of course we all love him for his, the Shaun of the Dead and Scott Pilgrim type films. So it's sort of out of his wheelhouse. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, I don't. There was a Mission Impossible movie that just came out, but I will make the admission. The only Mission Impossible anything I've ever seen is with Andres at G Fest, where it was like the last 20 minutes of Mission Impossible.
Yes, I remember that, the motorcycle scene.
Yeah, I've seen like bits of the 70s show when it's been on like MeTV, but have never seen a single Mission Impossible film. So out of the loop. Got, blessed Xenu, bless Tom Cruise, who's still doing his jumping out of planes and off of rooftops at the age of like 65, I think.
I'm still young, damn it.
Yeah, that's crazy, and that's asking for trouble. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll keep my nose up, and I liked Sinners a lot. I guess that
I heard good things about Sinners.
Yeah, kind of like at least in setup, kind of like a Dusk Till Dawn type of thing, where the second half of the movie becomes. I don't want to blow it for people, but I think me mentioning Dusk Till Dawn kind of spoiled a lot already for you.
Yeah,
but really talented performance, but another sort of example of one man playing twins pulled off very seamlessly. I would support people going to see that. I think it's still out in theaters. And again, boycott Lilo and Stitch because Ohana Mino Wana. Yeah.
Let's see here. Question: what are your thoughts on Super Robot Wars? Why? I'm very excited about it. I'm so happy that Godzilla Singular Point is added to it. For those who don't know, Super Robot Wars, big giant anime mecha anime crossover video game series that's been going on for 30 plus years now. And they have included Godzilla in one of the mobile games because they were doing stuff outside their rules. The rules normally are for console releases. It has to be whatever they get has to be from a mecha anime TV movie OVA series, what have you. But for the mobile games, they're like including Mega Man, they're including Godzilla, they're including Garo and Gunhead, Gavan, the Jew Ranger. But this is the first mainline console release where Godzilla is involved, and our boy Jet Jaguar is on the cover art of Super Robot Wars. Why? In addition, we got Gundam Witch from Mercury Season 1 included. I'm curious how they're going to adapt those characters because unlike like I said, I don't hate it. It's not that I dislike G-Witch. I like it just fine. I just think that its execution was heavily flawed. But I'm curious how they're going to adapt it because they have certainly changed a lot of stories when adapted for Super Robot Wars. SSSS Dyna Xenon is included. Great follow-up to SSSS.Gridman. But yeah, overall, lots of cool stuff that they're including. They got G Gundam in there. They got Gundam Wing in there. They got enough stuff in there that I'm like, I'm awesome. I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out.
Yeah, I'm not to turn it back, but just for 1 second, because I completely spaced on this because there was so little fanfare in its announcement. But there's a third Tron movie coming out this year as well.
Yeah, Ares.
Yes, it snuck up on us out of nowhere, at least on me, out of nowhere. I just, popped up Facebook one day and there was a trailer full right there. I'm very much looking forward to that because not a fan of the original Tron. Love Tron Legacy to death, though. So, and I think they have the 9 Inch Nails guy, right, doing the soundtrack for it, since they can't bring Daft Punk back, unfortunately. But that'll be great.
Yeah.
You've seen the Tron?
I've seen both Tron. I've seen both Trons, and I've seen a good chunk of Tron Uprising, which is my favorite Tron thing ever.
And that's an anime, or
it's a Disney. It was a Disney animated CG animated series. It was supposed to be a prequel, a prelude to Tron Legacy, to explain what happened to Tron that led him to be where he was in Tron Legacy. But the show, as great as it was canceled after 1 season. Presumably because Tron Legacy underperformed, and since that show was basically meant to promote the movie, I'm assuming that they saw no value in it, in worth continuing it, even though it left a lot of questions unanswered.
Yeah, I mean, I love the world. Like when I got around to the first movie, though, it was so It was it was very dry, very slow, a great little curiosity, and I respect it. But my favorite telling of that type of story, like what that was telling, is something like Flight of the Navigator, going into a video game world. I think that is a lot more enjoyable and actiony and fantasy feeling, where Tron was really just hard on the eyes above anything else. It was a little too much for me. But Tron Legacy, I'm very nostalgic for that, and that was the first time I ever saw someone recreated with
This was before
Slippery Slope began there.
Yeah. The road to deepfake started with Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. I'm pretty much with you there. Like, I don't outright dislike the original Tron. I do find it more as a curiosity piece. But I definitely remember thoroughly enjoying Legacy, and I'm certainly curious to see what they're going to do with Ares.
Yeah. Totally.
Let's see here. Already answered the Nosferatu question. Have you seen Kamen Rider Black Sun? I personally hated it. See, I know Black Sun, that is the Amazon exclusive remake of the 80s Kamen Rider series, Kamen Rider Black. I love Black. I've heard a lot of mixed things about Black Sun. I know people who love it. I know people who hate it. I know that it changes a lot of fundamental things about the original story, to the point where it introduces a lot of things that have nothing to do with the original story. And I can see why for some people it works for them, for some people it doesn't, because when they're watching a Black remake, they want to see the story from Black. So I'm eventually going to watch it, keep an open mind, and we'll see if it's for me or not. I know my roommates didn't like it, so it's a lot to keep in mind.
And
Sorry.
Anybody still listening, please don't take Andre's saying I have a lot of mixed feelings about blacks out of context. Please and thank you. Okay. Just trying to cover your... Yeah, okay.
I love the Black Riders. I love them a lot.
Look at my beautiful black son.
Nothing ever does it like the Blacks.
I think we covered ourselves there. Yeah, okay.
Is it well done steak as... Is well done steak as offensive? No, fuck you. As someone who grew up on well done steak, there is nothing wrong with it. It's the healthiest choice. God damn you!
I think we have a strong opinion here. No. And I don't. Yeah, I've never tried pineapple on pizza. I know it seems wrong. I'll say that, but I've never bitten the forbidden combination.
I recently tried it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like an unusual flavor combination. You got the
you got the citrus and the sauce going on at the same time.
Yeah. It's interesting. That's all I'll say. It's interesting. Let's see. Question: what is the best and worst Inoue work? It's hard for me to say. I have not seen enough of Inoue's work outside of Kamen Rider to really be a fair judge of that. Thoughts on Thundercracker? So he's
that can't be real. What?
He's Blue Starscream, basically, from Transformers.
Oh, it's also my gamer tag from now on.
So, I like the idea of, well, first off, blue is my favorite color. So, any blue robot, I'm down for.
If you hadn't guessed, yes.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to the IDW, and recently with the Skybound version of Thundercracker, who is more sympathetic towards humans and begins to reject the Decepticon ways, I find that to be a very fascinating character arc to explore for a Decepticon, to be like, hey, you know what? I'm all for, fuck the Autobots, but I don't like getting other people involved in our war. I like that sort of angle from a story about war and just how different characters approach it. Other than that, just any other most continuities, Thundercracker is just the blue Starscream in the background who just does whatever Starscream tells him to do. So for the most part, I like him in terms of design, but for the comics, I'm glad that they've delved into something. Interestingly, if you watch TJ Omega's video on Thundercracker, the idea of him not wanting to harm humans was a thing that was put in the original Bible prior to making the animated series, which just never got picked up on until the IDW comics. But yeah, Thundercracker, cool character, cool design, great repaint. glad to see him glad to see him consistently throughout this franchise, even if he is for the most part a non character. Let's see here. Question: have you seen Kaiju War Chronicles combatant roster? It's gone much. I'm sorry, I do not know what that is. Let's see. My Hero Academia is on season 7. Wow, I'm really far behind. Season 8 will be the final season. All right, cool. Let's see. Question: what stupid thing fans complain about with My Hero Academia that you were talking about? Oh,
well, you see, the thing I thought was, so I thought I'd interrupt you again. Just to make
From what I heard, fans just were upset whenever certain curvier female characters were slimmed down in the anime. That's all I've heard.
Curves.
Let's see here. Question: have you heard about My Hero Academia Vigilantes? What are your thoughts on mini controversy when it was censored of one of the characters out? I heard that Vigilantes was a thing. I have not heard anything else about this, so unfortunately I cannot answer this. I'm assuming maybe this was the thing. Maybe the outfit slimmed down one of the characters. Hashtag thick thighs save lives.
Yeah.
Let's see. Question: thoughts on Kyoryuger? I watched the whole thing and I was pleasantly surprised by how much I liked it. I recently heard something about Kyoryu. Oh yeah, so I remember this was the season. Maybe it wasn't the first one, but it was definitely one of the seasons that introduced dancing in Super Sentai. They dance in order to morph into their superpowers, and the ending song, all the characters do a little dance. I heard that was done to make the child audiences more active as they're watching the show, because it's like they're like fighting like obesity or whatever, trying to get kids more active in Japan. Be like, come on, kids, get up and dance. Not really a fan of that, really.
I hate dancing.
Footloose. I understand Super Sentai is already a silly enough concept. This just pushes it over the edge for that. It's the one thing that's like, okay, now it's too silly for me. Haven't watched any of it.
One somersault too far.
I haven't watched any of it, unfortunately. I know there's a crossover with all 3 Super Sentai Dino teams, which I think is cool. But yeah, I haven't seen enough to actually make a comment on it. Sorry. Let's see. Have you seen Gridman Universe? What are your thoughts on the Fire Grid? What are your thoughts on the Fire Gridman has with having bad American releases? So I saw the Gridman Universe movie. Absolutely love it. Truly a masterpiece. And I think it's a fitting finale to the Gridman Universe saga with SSSS Gridman and SSSS Dynazenon. Gridman having bad American releases. So I have heard that it has taken a while. Yeah, that's right. Gridman Universe still has not been released physically in America. And I have not heard. That's the only controversy I've heard. I haven't heard anything else with the other 2 series. I know Funimation released both of them. I don't know. I know Funimation is defunct, so I don't know if Crunchyroll has released those yet, or is now continuing over. But I don't have any other knowledge outside of that. Let's see. Oh, the curse Gridman has with getting American releases. Okay. Especially since Universe isn't getting a dub. Oh, that's weird. Let's see. What do you think about this? Have a good day. That's another ancient callback. What do you think about the new collector editions of Jeff Wayne's musical version of War of the Worlds? I think it sounds cool.
The new version done by the band.
Yeah. Let's see. Kaiju War Chronicles is a fan fiction side of Toho Kingdom where it's usually about. Oh, I remember that, man. Okay, that takes me way back. So, back in like high school, this had to have been like between the years like 2006 to 2010. I used to follow a lot of the fan fictions Toho Kingdom would make for Kaiju War Chronicles. And I remember one was like Bagon versus Jet Jaguar and Ultraman. I think that might have been my favorite one. But honestly, it's like once I was in college, I just stopped paying attention to it. And by the time I was in college, like 2010, 2015, I was already over fan fiction. And these days I'm writing my own fiction, which I find to be a far
That you're
more
a fan of.
Yeah, I'm a fan of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm certainly my own biggest fan. But yeah, just fan fiction in general doesn't do anything for me. I have zero interest in fan fiction. I'm always been a proponent for original storytelling, but I understand fan fiction has its place in writing. I agree. For me, I see it as a potentially a great learning tool to start writing characters that you already are aware of and start perfecting your craft, start building your craft before you eventually move on to original storytelling. Or it's a good way to learn how to write other characters in case you want to become a writer, like say whoever is writing for Marvel and DC, like who wants to be the next Spider-Man writer, the next Batman writer, who wants to be the next Star Wars novelist, official Star Wars novelist. So I think it can be a great platform for practice, but I don't really have a lot of interest in people who do that and nothing but that. Like, they don't grow beyond fan fiction. I get it if it's a hobby and that if you don't have any interest whatsoever in doing your own stuff, that's fine. I just do not have any interest in that personally. If you come to me with an original story of your own, now you got my interest.
It's a path paved with gold if you do Twilight fan fiction, though, and you make it sexy. And
you scratch off the serial numbers.
That's right. It's the ticket to the top.
Yeah, that's the ticket. Let's see here. JF explained. Basically, a character in My Hero Academia Vigilantes named Pop Step is a pop idol hero who wears a very revealing outfit in the manga, heavily censored in the anime. People hated that. Okay, it's pretty much what I was already expecting.
Preverts, I'm telling you. Preverts, these people.
You're all sick people. Not surprised. Standards are different between manga and TV shows, so at this point, I'm not surprised. I feel like it's one of those things where it's like, it's to be expected. Question: why is My Hero Academia ending divisive again? I don't want to go to spoilers.
Don't tell me.
It's pretty recent, yeah. It's just people make fun of where the characters end up. Although if you, I think it's because it's a lot of things where like there are a lot of people who tend to put American values on this story about Japanese characters with Japanese cultural sensibilities, and it's like if you look at it from the perspective of this world, this universe, it makes far more sense than if you try to apply your own cultural sensibilities into it. Maybe that's a very pretentious way of saying that, of describing that, and I apologize if that's the case, but that's the best way I can explain it without spoiling. Let's see here. Have you seen Dandadan and explain why it's the GOAT? I have not seen Dandadan, but every clip I've seen looks very hilarious. The animation looks really stunning. The homages to tokusatsu are very cool. It's basically you have like a boy and a girl that are high school best buds. One of them is super into aliens. The other is super into ghosts. Apparently both aliens and ghosts exist in this world, and they're just getting into a bunch of shenanigans. So yeah,
yes, I watched Dandadan while celebrating Ramadan and observing. Yeah.
The intro song looks really cool. It's really catchy. Let's see here. Question: have you seen Kaiju number 8? That's another thing I've heard really good things about. I have not seen, but I eventually want to check out. Let's see here. Looks like we're getting to the end here. Let's see. A lot of people. I don't know. Was it another one? If you have a lot of time, please. If you ever have a lot of time to kill, give Return of a Good Man a read, and it's an interesting yet well-written alternative ending to the Return of Ultraman. But yeah, you do make a good point about fan fiction and evolving into actual new content. Thank you very much. And we got this bald bastard here, this man who's been torturing me nonstop. I hear Andres likes a lot of grease. But
How
sir,
much grease exactly?
I cannot give you that much grease. I can lose my job. Only people who have watched The Greasy Strangler will get that. Which
and
is
only
basically just all
people who
two
have
of us.
watched The Greasy Strangler. There's a
The number
secret
of people who have
handshake.
watched The Greasy Strangler. We are a small bunch, but we're a very dedicated bunch.
That's right. Well, you know each other's shame is how that works.
Exactly. Thank you very much for joining us, Matt, this late in the game. But yeah, big shout out to Matt Burkett from Monstrosities, without whom I wouldn't even be part of the Kamen Rider Dyad release. The moment he called me up, he was like, "Hey, we got this potential. I'm working on this thing now. I'm putting a team back together, and you're the only loser I could depend on." And so I was like, "You son of a bitch, I'm in." And so, he's pretty much like he's contributed so much. He is like the MVP that's held this project together. And so, much praise and credit needs to go to Matt. I worked with him on YouTube videos. I worked with him as a script supervisor and editor for the Kamen Rider Gaia documentary. I worked with him on the Godzilla 2 mini documentary. And it was through that, cultivating that working relationship, that allowed us to flawlessly work on Kamen Rider Dyad. And so, the man is incredibly talented at what he does. He certainly has a passion for wanting to bring a spotlight to the people behind the things that we love, the media that we consume. And it's that type of attitude he brings, this no nonsense, what do you call it, knuckling down type of approach to things, is something that I greatly admire from Matt. And I think that this project wouldn't be what it is without him. And thank you.
Such a great tribute to this man. While the caption reads, "I hear Andres likes grease."
You did tons of work on this. It was a team effort. Andres's liner notes and commentary track are 100%. Thank you very much, Matt. I did the best that I can possibly could, and it's only because of you, my friend. Really appreciate the kind words, Andres. Thank you. Absolutely. The world must know that there is no other guy on this planet like Matt Burkett. There's no one greater, no one greasier, no one balder, no one as much of a bastard as this guy is, and I love him for all of that.
Burkett, the best a man can get.
Exactly. For better or worse. And I think on that note, I think it's about time. We've been at this for 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Holy crap. That is like, this is an epic. Wow.
Yes. I think we've done enough audio synchronizing for this year.
For this year, yeah. Yes. My golly. How many, if you were to divvy this up into one, by the day, 3 hours divided by, how many minutes is that? Then divide that by 365. Holy crap.
Let's see. And you know what? We have managed a decent audience of like roughly 10 to 11 people throughout those 3 hours. So thank you very much, every single one of you, for being part of this live stream. Again, I say this a lot these days. I don't upload on this channel a lot. As you can see, I've been doing a lot of stuff outside of YouTube with comics, novels, conventions, and now Blu-ray releases.
Globetrotting on top of that.
Yeah, it's been a wonderful experience coming back to YouTube every now and then, and still finding people here still willing to lend their time out to me and my friends here. It's something I'm always truly grateful for, regardless of how often I do YouTube. It's always great to still do this, even though it's, to be to be frank, it's not as big of a priority as it wants to, because to be honest, I do find a lot of these other ventures far more creatively fulfilling. But hey, I'll always keep this channel to have fun every now and then. Thank you very much for your support, guys, and hope that you will continue to follow me and my friends in our other ventures. So yeah, you can find me at next weekend at Kaiju Brooklyn. If you guys are attending, I will be at G Fest as well. If you want to meet me and support me there. Not sure about any other future conventions, just because of, again, real life priorities. But yeah, check out my comics, check out my books, check out the Blu-ray. Please pre-order that Blu-ray if you are so interested. And yeah, you know what?
First 100 copies, Inue's Lock of Hair. You'll find that inside. There'll be a silver stamp that Andres personally will have licked for your collection at home. Special stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, for all of you guys going to G Fest and Kaiju Brooklyn, I'll see you there. And yeah, you know what? And for to do my usual plugins, you can follow me here on YouTube as well for Kaiju Noir. You can follow me on Instagram at Kaiju Noir. Follow me on Facebook at Primal Warrior Draco Azul, and on Twitter at PW_Draco Azul. And you can also follow my web comic, Primal Warrior Draco Azul Gaiden Hellfire, over on Webtoon. And you can see the rest of my comics and novels over on Amazon. And where can people find you, Brayton?
Oh, on the street corner selling tricks until we dust out this old tugboat next year. Yeah, I'm also on YouTube. The name will change at some point, but Branson Films, look that up in the description. I'm there. We will finally get something going on that front this month, hopefully. I'm really nowhere else. I travel where the wind blows and where people want me to appear. Raph and Shoma and I do semi-weekly Twitch streams over there, watching weird things, sometimes good things, and a whole lot of things that are best described as a mixed bag. Yeah, I show up when I'm asked for. Andres and I will collaborate, I'm sure, many, many times in the future, and many times in the near future. So,
yeah. In fact, I will certainly be working with you in terms of my next novel project.
Yes.
What it will be, you'll have to tune in and find out, ladies and gentlemen.
The next time on Pokemon.
On Kaiju Ball Z.
Dragon Ball Z Pokio show.
My hero Common Mania.
Yeah.
Right, so until next time, everybody, I have been Andres Perez, aka Kaiju Noir.
And I'm the taller, whiter guy.
The real Gringo Poppy, as we have come to agree on.
Gringo Poppy, Thundercracker. That's a new one I'm taking with me. Wonderful seeing all you friendly folks once again.
Until next time, everybody, take care. And for 2025, your audio has been synchronized.
Synchronized,
take care, folks.
Thank you.